Was an olive.
Now, let's pour some drinks.
It's Big Rich, TD, and Fletch. TD out, so just Fletch and Rich here with you. And Tony Conja is going to be wandering into the studio in the 8 o'clock hour. Owner, operator, keg and bottle, 10 locations around San Diego. You just heard it right there from Big Voice Guy. It is a Bar Cart Friday. And more than ever, do we have an incredible amount to celebrate today. So not only are the Padres right now on this road trip 5 of 6, or I should say 5 and 1. They've taken 5 of their possible 6 games victories in those performances. They absolutely, on this section of this 9-game roadie, they've absolutely dominated the Washington Nationals. They shut them out twice. They absolutely smacked them in game 2 of this series, a 12-3 victory on 20 hits. So the lineup doing the majority of the work. But how about it? Matt Waldron hanging in there and doing a great job in game 2 after getting kind of pummeled in the first inning. But then in game 3, another shutout. But it was Dylan Cease who threw the second ever no-no in franchise
Abrams
history.
to right field. Johnson coming in. He makes the catch. No hits for the Nats. Dylan Cease throws a no-hitter. The second no-hitter in Padres history. There'll be a sea of San Diegans celebrating back home today.
So Dylan Cease is only the second ever name etched in immortality in the Padres annals, right? This is going to be one of those moments that Padres fans will celebrate for years to come, and for good reason, because it was such a long wait before we saw Java Joe, hometown kid Joe Musgrove, do it in 21, an earlier season no-hitter. And then here we are right up against the trade deadline, right up against the part of the year where hope springs eternal once more. It happens twice a season for baseball teams. Spring training, and then again at the trade deadline. If you should be one of those teams so fortunate to potentially be buyers, to improve your lot, to improve your luck heading into the back half of the season, the Padres in that position right now, they get a no-hitter from arguably their number 2 pitcher in their rotation. This bodes extremely well, Fletch, for the future.
It really does. And over the last month, Rich, he's been the clear-cut number 1. In fact, over his last 3 starts, Dylan Cease probably been the best pitcher in the National League. He's skyrocketed up Cy Young rankings and odds and betting odds. I think he's up to 4th or 3rd on the list in the National League right now. And Dylan Cease, through his last 13 innings, has not given up a hit. He's been that good over the last month. Over the last 3 starts for him really have been absolutely phenomenal. Now, I said this a lot yesterday, and I put this out on social media yesterday. If you were ever waiting, AJ Preller, for a sign to go ram in every single door in the Padres front office and every single decision maker when it comes to how tight the purse strings are, right after a no-hitter is probably a good time to do it, because everybody is on cloud 9.
Yeah.
Right? You can maybe squeeze a little bit more out of this trade deadline with the amount of dopamine rushing through the entire Padres front office yesterday and into today and really into the next couple days before the trade deadline. I actually think that the no-hitter itself, along with the 5 of 6 wins like you just mentioned, might be a reason why the Padres make a little bit splashier of a move at the trade deadline.
I really honestly think so, because I said this yesterday and I meant what I said. The Padres, these next bunch of games are, if I'm the front office, if I'm the ownership group, I'm looking at this as, hey, if we put some pressure on you here, how do you respond to it? Because that's what we're looking at, right? Later in the season, there's going to be a pressure cooker called the playoffs. So if you can't respond to pressure, then why do we want to build around this team? If we're not special enough to handle it at the trade deadline, then why on earth will we trust that you're going to be able to do this in September and October? Now, the truth is, and this is with all teams, and sports are just different from business, but there's a lot of business people who run sports teams. Things change. A team at the trade deadline is not the same team at the playoffs, for better or worse. A team at the beginning of the season is not the same team at the trade deadline, for better or worse. Look at the Yankees. No better. And I talked about this yesterday as well, Fletch. Like, the Yankees started the season until mid-June. They were the hottest team in baseball. They were first in winning percentage. Since then, since mid-June, They are second from the bottom in Major League in terms of winning percentage. So things change, and they can change in an instant. They can change over months. You just never know. One injury could be all it takes. Sometimes a suspension or something unforeseen like that can change a lot of things. Sometimes it could be, I don't know, a spark that gets ignited somewhere on a road trip, a 9-game road trip while your city is taken over by Comic-Con. You can change your whole fate. I mean, frankly, and we were probably overstating it at first a little bit, but this 9-game road trip could determine the future of this franchise. This 9-game road trip could have been is so important for what's next for the Padres and their fans that we have even underrated its importance.
No, I think we've probably put it perfectly over the last couple of weeks. These 9 games are going to determine a ton, not just for this year, but for the future of the franchise, because you don't know what's going to happen underneath what's on the actual big league ball club right now. There's a chance, negative or positive, there could be a lot of guys shipping out for not a lot of return coming back just because of the way the market is this year. And I think it's worth it. I really do. There's something with this team, Rich. And I know it's been up and down. And I know in a couple of weeks we could be talking about the Padres back to a 500 record. But I've been fooled before this season, and I think yesterday probably fooled me a little bit again. And there's a couple of specific moments why. There's always like something special that happens during a no-hitter that you just kind of feel like, oh, that's a sign that something special is happening today. There was like 4 of them yesterday, Rich. So the Xander Bogaerts 2 plays in the field, he tried to ruin it as best he could. The first one probably would have been called an error. I don't know that the second one would have, but the first one, it was a kind of over-the-shoulder catch as he was walking out into mid or shallow center field, and it just kind of half-piped right out of his glove, and it just squirted out, and luckily Jackson Farrell-Merrill, that guy, Mr. Fundamental, was right there backing him up just like he should be. And I mentioned this yesterday, and I think a couple of people laughed, but every high school coach around San Diego and really across the country should be highlighting what Jackson Merrill did.
No question.
Because he didn't have to be there.
No.
In fact, the 99.9% of the time, there's no reason for him to be there. But 99.9 and really 100% of the time, he has to be there because that is a baseball play, backing up every single play you possibly can. And Jackson Merrill, you could say, oh, right place at the right time. That was lucky. That was preparation is what it was. Jackson Merrill being in the right place at the right time was because that's what he had to do. And it's impressive as hell that that's one of the plays that saves the no-hitter. And then Xander Bogaerts tries to boot it again in the 8th inning, but God.
Well, you dude. And by the way, I don't know if you mentioned it because I was just looking up at the screen. They were talking about Dylan Cease on MLB Network, and they were talking about how he's the second ever player in franchise history to throw no-hitter. He and Joe Musgrove are the only 2 ever, 4 years apart from each other, and it took 53 seasons to see our first one ever, and now we're spoiled with no-hitters. It's fantastic what's happening with the Padres pitching staff over these past 4 seasons. But Mike Shildt almost ruined it. Look, I get it.
You weren't listening yesterday, were you?
There's a lot of knee knocking that goes on. I wasn't.
At 12:15 when that happened?
There's a lot of knee knocking that goes on. There's a lot of knee knocking, right? You know, you start to get a little rattled. You start to think, oh, geez, 3rd time through the lineup. Oh, my goodness. This is probably when this party should end. I am so proud of Mike Shildt for not pulling the plug.
He tried to. So at the end of the 7th inning, Dylan Cease was at 94 pitches, and Dylan Cease comes off the mound, and there was nobody at that ballpark yesterday, but there was about, I would say, 70 to 150 Padres fans sitting right behind the Padres dugout that they all kind of congregated there once something special started happening, right? And Dylan Cease walks off the mound of the 7th. He gets to the top steps of the dugout. Mike Shildt shakes his hand, and I was kind of reading his lips. He said, "Good job." And then Ruben Niebla steps up, and there's a conversation that kind of goes on between the 3 of them, and you see Joe Musgrove kind of turning his head and being like, what are we doing here? And I thought, and Don Orsillo and Mark Mudcat Grant thought that they were pulling Dylan Cease out of that game. And it seemed like Mike Shildt had made that decision. Now, of course, the 8th inning comes, and Dylan Cease is the guy who trots out onto the field, and I'm like, thank God, but I was losing my mind for about 10 minutes there, Richie, because I thought that they were pulling Dylan Cease, who is the horse on this staff, the one guy who has proven that he can go deep into games and proven over his career that he can just eat up innings all the way until the season ends. They were going to pull him at 94 pitches. And so then it's not till after the game that we get the full story. And yeah, Mike Shildt was indeed going to pull him out at 94 pitches. But thanks to Dylan Cease pleading, telling him, no, my body feels great. My stuff is still working. Thanks to Ruben Niebla saying, yeah, we could probably leave him in. Something special is happening here. And thanks to Joe Musgrove, who I think was the icing on the cake, turning around and saying, no, you got to leave him in. Something's happening here.
You have to.
You have to.
So, okay.
The fact that Mike Shildt was even considering it makes me trust him less, but I do give him props for letting his mind be changed because I'm not sure Jace Tingler would have done that. I'm definitely not sure Bob Melvin would have done that.
I feel in moments like this, you have to take the laptop, the printout, the advice from the nerds who crunch the numbers, and you need to tear it up. You need to take out the microchip. You need to unplug whatever you want to say about it and do what your gut tells you to do. And congratulations to Mike Shildt. You managed. That's what it looks like. That's what it looks like at the major league level when you have a little sway, and he may have a little. Now, he is a lieutenant of A.J. Preller, who we know loves the numbers. He loves analytics. He has invested in the analytics department with the Padres and trusts it with all of his heart. And we know that the gut can get you in trouble sometimes. Sometimes your first instincts aren't your best. But when you trust your gut overall, right, and you've seen enough baseball, and you see a look in somebody's eye, or you see a determination, an uncommon determination, you need to lean in, because it's not just about what the numbers and the reports say, because who knows? Maybe Dylan Cease could have been relieved and you still win 3-0. That's great. That's great. The Padres still sweep the Nationals. You move on to the next leg of this journey on this road trip. And who knows, maybe everybody is just as excited during the trade deadline when you make some important moves for the roster. But you wouldn't have had a no-hitter. You wouldn't have had that moment. You would have missed out on all of this now, because as I'm speaking, I'm getting goosebumps. Sports fans who understand the importance of moments understand what just happened. The trust you have to have, especially in today's age in baseball, to let a guy trot out there, like you said, triumphant, hop over the first baseline or the third and finish the job. It's incredible.
And he did. The Nationals were not hitting Dylan Cease yesterday. It was all sliders. It was a ton of sliders. He was still throwing high 90s, even up into 100 by the time that was in the 7th and 8th inning. Like, Dylan Cease was so impressive yesterday. And the moment in the 7th inning could have really had an impact on the rest of the season, because now we don't know what this ripple effect is. Look, in 2021, obviously it ended up being a disaster after the energy from the Joe Musgrove no-hitter.
Yeah.
But we don't know what it's going to be this time. Like, we don't know if this is actually one of those moments in a season. And I point specifically to the 7th inning more than I do even the finish of the no-hitter as one of those moments where this team turned around and said, no, we're going to be gritty. We're going to finish this job. And Dylan Cease led the way with that, and so impressed.
And this is such a different season than both the 2021 season and even last season, with a lot of stars, a lot more help in terms of the pitching staff. You look at what this team has. It has moxie. It has gumption. It has stick-to-itiveness. It has fight. Like, this roster is playing like a team instead of a collection of stars, even though they have arguably more players playing like stars this season and in less visible spots. Like, we didn't expect it to be Jackson Merrill. We didn't expect it to be Luis Ariz. He wasn't even a part of the team to start the season. We didn't expect it to be Jurickson Profar. But you've gotten stunning performances from the three of those players, and then it's only buoyed by the fact that you have another, like I mentioned, Luis Ariz, another an addition in trade, who's now etched his name into Padres history. We'll continue on with Dylan Cease in a few. Also, we have Luke Bryan tickets. He's playing a show in Chula Vista. That's an August 8th show. If you've missed out on tickets the past 4 days, we have a pair of tickets for you coming up on the show today. We will be giving those away soon. So hang in there with us. Also, in just a little bit, we want to hear from you. Text line's open, 70470. Start your message with team. We want to hear where you were and how you celebrated the Dylan Cease no-hitter. You could also reach us on the talkback mic. That's a little microphone button next to the play button on the free iHeartRadio app. If you hit that talkback mic, you can leave us a quick message about what you were doing during the Dylan Cease no-no. Okay, the Olympics. Opening ceremony tonight, and iHeartRadio is the exclusive audio home of NBC's coverage of the 2024 Paris Olympics. And right now, here's NBC News Radio's Olympics report. That Olympic report is brought to you by Islands Restaurants, your local paradise. Love them fries.
Fresh cut fries?
Fresh cut fries.
Talking, what was that? Mac and cheese, chicken tender, French fry bonanza that we had that one time?
Oh my god.
Tiki tenders.
Yeah, tiki tenders. Tiki tenders. Limited time only offering on their bar menu. That time that we went, I believe that was last football season. Absolutely magnificent.
That was 2 football seasons ago.
And
a Thursday night football game.
Well, they all zoom together when you go to Islands a whole lot.
The Broncos and the Colts.
Yeah, that was really good. That was a really good game.
By the way, the Olympic opening ceremonies are actually 10:30 a.m. today. You gonna be watching?
Yeah. I will be listening to NBC Radio's live coverage of the opening ceremonies while making my way to a lake. That's
on
my
the free
plan.
iHeartRadio app.
On the free iHeartRadio app. Yeah, listen, so here's the reality of what we just witnessed yesterday. Yes, it's historic. Yes, the Padres did something that very few teams, or I should say Dylan Cease did something that very few pitchers have ever accomplished over the course of their career. And he is now a part of baseball lore. However, there is a way that water can be thrown on that accomplishment. There is a possibility. There is a possibility that the Padres do nothing at the trade deadline. Or
it's possible.
Or the move is so underwhelming, everybody kind of looks at each other and goes, huh.
That's probable. It is possible. I do not think it's likely that they do nothing at the trade deadline this year. I think this team has done more than enough to prove, and out of necessity, they need to add a starting pitcher or two, or a starting pitcher and a bullpen piece. I think it is multiple moves, Rich. I think that this week has solidified it. I think the no-hitter solidified it with a bullet. But they need to add to this rotation, because as fun as that was, and as great as the starting pitchers have been, guess who's out on the mound today, Richie? Adam Mazur, who's been terrible. And it's not his fault. He's a rookie. He's too young for this at this point. Like, Adam Mazur needs more time in the minor leagues, but he's there because they need him to be there, because they don't have any other options. And we've been over this, but like Joe Musgrove, you don't really know what you're going to get when he comes back. Is it going to be Java Joe, the guy that threw the no-hitter against the Texas Rangers in 2021? Or is it going to be Java Joe, the guy who Buck Showalter felt up on the mound during a dominant pitching performance against the Mets in the postseason? Or is it going to be fresh off of injury, needs some time to ramp back up Joe? And that's probably the more likely of the situations.
Well, look, the Padres right now are 55-50 after that no-hitter shutout victory over the Washington Nationals. Their next opponent waiting for them with Adam Mazur on the mound. Obviously, not the best drawing you could have against a very good Baltimore team is going to be the Orioles. And the Orioles are another huge test for the Padres. So, look, with a July 30th trade deadline and 4 days left for AJ Preller to make this decision, or I should say, maybe more importantly, an ownership group who needs to be convinced of the right decision to make for the future of this baseball team this season. There are a lot of question marks still. How much rope does AJ Preller really have? Did we see the 2 biggest rabbits come out of the hat already with Dylan Cease, who, by the way, was a trade acquisition that AJ Preller traded for that just threw the second ever no-hitter in franchise history, and Luis Arraez? Is the work done? Will he go to ownership and management and say, hey, yeah, we need a rotation help? And they said, yeah, you said that back earlier in the season. And that's the reason why out of spring training, we got you Dylan Cease. So we're going to see what happens with Darvish, and we're going to see what Joe looks like when he comes back. That's what you told us back in April, right, AJ? And he was like, well, yeah, but things have changed since then. Well, listen, AJ, like this isn't a bottomless pit. Like you can't use the depth of this team like it's your own personal piggy bank. You're not allowed to just hit it with a hammer and spend all the coins whenever you want. Or does he have the kind of pull he had when Peter Seidler was here, where he is able to, maybe in a more measured way, but oftentimes very splashy way, spend whatever trade assets are available in the farm system to get whatever he feels necessary to get to make sure that he has a winning product. Now, again, in the past, it's had mixed results. Obviously, in a shortened pandemic season, the Padres made a run to the playoffs, and you could call it whatever you want. 60 games is very difficult to really adjudicate whether a team is great or not.
They also ran out of starting pitching.
Yeah, they just were hot, and then we saw what happened in the playoffs. The rotation fell apart because elbows were exploding left and right.
You said that like it's a joke. It wasn't a joke.
It was not a joke. It was not a joke. See Dinelson Lamet. See Mike Clevenger.
Yeah.
Then you go to 2022 where there's a tremendous amount of success, but that was a collection of superstars who coalesced for only a moment. And then the very next year, it kind of all fell apart because maybe there was too much selfishness. Maybe there wasn't enough team vibe. Maybe there was too much my contract's coming up. I got to make sure I do this. You have a guy who won't pitch outside the ninth inning in your bullpen. You got a player who's talking about, okay, so let's leave that in the rearview mirror for a second. But if you're the front office, can you look past all of those things and say, hey, AJ, like, we trust you 100%. I said this yesterday, and I still feel as strongly today about this, and maybe more so after a no-hitter from a guy who AJ Preller traded for. I don't think he's fireable right now. If you fired AJ Preller at this point in the season, you would look like a fool if you were the Padres ownership. Nobody would understand it. And for good reason, because what he's been able to cobble together, given the limitations from a salary cap standpoint, has been nothing short of amazing. And this team is 5 games over 500 cruising into the trade deadline, it seems. Again, a big task against Baltimore here coming up to end this road trip. But still, this team is getting hot at the right time. The question remains, though, how much trust does AJ Preller have with this organization?
I think we're going to find out soon. The floodgates do appear to be open. Randy Arozarena got dealt this morning to the Mariners, and so it looks like trades are starting to happen. So we will see over the next 4 days. Kevin Acee reporting earlier this week, I believe. Was that on our show this week, or was that me and J-Riff last week? Don't remember. That he thinks it's actually going to get done before the trade deadline, so the Padres can sneak in a little early and maybe get a better deal.
When we spoke to him on Wednesday, he mentioned it. He was talking about how he thinks, keep your eye on the wire in terms of the Padres here the next couple of days, he said, because I think to get a better bargain on a player and not be competing down the stretch of the trade deadline, you might see AJ Preller try to get a deal done sooner rather than later.
Now, real quick, the best news of this series against the Washington Nationals is Padres, you have single-handedly pretty much knocked the Washington Nationals out of the postseason race. One less team you have to deal with on the National League side because of the 6-game sweep of the season sweep that the Padres really just gave it to the Nationals over those 6. Between the Jerks and Profar drama, where they kind of called him out after he flexed, and then the next day he hits a massive home run to the 2 home runs he hit in this series to getting freaking no hit. Like, the Padres made the Washington Nationals their little.
Well, here's the problem, though, because there are teams out there who could say the same thing about what they've done to the Padres.
Colorado Rockies. Padres face them 6 times over the course of the next 20 days.
So there's that. Now, I do feel like, and this is true with all baseball teams, and again, not to beat a dead horse, but just go ahead and see the Yankees, what a team can look like month over month, good versus bad. But the Padres are a different team now.
See the freaking Padres this year.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
4 separate 5-game losing streaks. Like, the hope is that one of those isn't coming.
Well, the funny thing about that is I think that sadly has been consistent. The Padres, the reason why I keep using the Yankees as an example is because they were so good and then they are so bad. Like, they haven't been consistent. The Padres have. Now, it's been consistently frustrating for fans, and we don't like it. This has been a middling team with a mediocre record who gets hot and then gets cold and gets hot and gets. So we gotten used to that. My hope, though, is the next time they see the Rockies, they become the dominant ball club that it feels like they've been bubbling in the background and waiting to become. And maybe this 9-game roadie was exactly what they needed to turn around the season. We'll see. The trade deadline, obviously, incoming, like I said, 4 days away for AJ Preller and this organization to make those moves. Speaking of moves, a starting quarterback goes down at training camp. Did he just get Wally pipped? That's next.
Hit us up on the Talkback mic all day long. We will be playing your reaction to Dylan Cease's no-hitter. The Talkback mic on the free iHeartRadio app, and you're listening to San Diego Sports 760. It's that little microphone icon in the bottom right corner. You can leave us a 30-second message, again, reacting to Dylan Cease's no-hitter yesterday, the second in franchise history for the Padres. This update is presented by Evans Tire and Service. Walk in or book online at evanstire.com. We will start off with the Padres as Dylan Cease threw the franchise's second no-hitter yesterday. It was really an incredible day out in Washington, D.C. Padres won 3-0, sweeping the Nationals. And again, Dylan Cease with the second no-hitter in Padres franchise history. NFL, Russell Wilson has a calf issue in Pittsburgh, so Justin Fields is getting first-team reps. Falcons' new quarterback Kirk Cousins has been medically cleared to practice after his Achilles injury last year with Minnesota. 49ers have multiple holdouts going on, wide receiver Brandon Ayuk and then left tackle Trent Williams, both looking for new deals. The Rams and the Vikings both have young cornerbacks who have potential season-ending ACL tears to begin training camp. And the Las Vegas Raiders have a Patrick Mahomes, Kermit the Frog, Muppet doll. I did not make that up. Now at Evans Tire and Service Centers, buy 3 Kumho Solus TA51 tires and get one for free. Optional 6-month deferred financing available with the Evans Tire credit card. Walk in or dial pound 250, keyword Evans Tire. Schedule now.
Hey.
Do you see what the Raiders are doing, Richie?
Yeah, the Raiders are an interesting group.
Don't poke the bear, bro.
Don't poke the bear, especially when the bear or the frog lives in your division. So, yeah, the Raiders are trolling Patrick Mahomes. We will get to that.
Mistake.
But first, I do want to focus on a team that we've spent, and I'm sure a lot of people interested in football have spent some time thinking about this offseason because it's such an interesting offseason. Mike Tomlin was able to author a 9-win season last year, seemingly out of nowhere, out of nothing. He had one of the worst rosters in football at the most important position. He had Mitchell Trubisky, Kenny Pickett, and Mason Rudolph as his starting quarterbacks. And I've oftentimes gone to this stat, but 7 touchdowns, 13 interceptions for all 3 of them. That was their combined touchdown to interception ratio.
It was even better. It was 10 wins last year.
Was it 10 wins?
The Steelers finished 10-7.
Jeez, I keep saying 9 wins. That's ridiculous. It's ridiculous how good the Steelers played with the limitations they had at that position. Well, since the offseason, they've obviously improved their lot. Russell Wilson traded from Denver, inarguably better than all 3 of those quarterbacks I just mentioned. Justin Fields traded from the Chicago Bears, inarguably a better quarterback than all 3 of the quarterbacks I just mentioned who started for the Steelers a year ago. But here's the problem. When you have 2 starting quarterbacks, which both of them were a year ago, and you are looking to have some competition at the position, what can happen is you don't really have a starter. Because if you have a named starter go out there and struggle, all of a sudden your fan base starts booing and starts calling for the backup if the backup is also a player that fans believe can outshine the starting quarterback. This happened with Mark Sanchez and Tim Tebow in New York. Tim Tebow was beloved by many sports fans, by many football fans, and New Yorkers wanted to see him take over for Mark Sanchez when he was backing up Mark Sanchez. And it was a mess. It was an absolute mess for the Jets. Now, at the time, I forget who their head coach was, and for good reason, because it was a forgettable head coach. Mike Tomlin is a very good head coach. If there's anybody who can manage these personalities and get the most out of this situation, I do think it's Mike Tomlin. However, maybe the decision can be made for him because Russell Wilson is getting up there in age and he has a calf injury. And so now it looks like Justin Fields is going to get first team reps. And who knows, maybe this ends up being the turning point.
Look, it's been weird with Justin Fields throughout his career so far because you look at what he's done and he's actually a really entertaining quarterback to watch. And he does have special. And what we saw from him in college was also really special, whether it was at Ohio State or not. But Justin Fields is a tough guy who can make some electric plays. He has a good arm. He's been in the biggest situations possible in college, and he got to the Bears, and the Bears did what the Bears do, which is not really support a rookie quarterback and not develop them in the right way. I'm so curious to see what Justin Fields looks like under really good coaching, which is what he now has in Pittsburgh. And by the way, a pretty good offense too. Like, I think Justin Fields is a lot better than what we saw in Chicago. I really do. And I think he has some intangibles that not a lot of quarterbacks have. And I think that what we've seen from Russ over the last few years, the steep decline that he's been on, maybe Russ just doesn't have it anymore.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the answer is in Pittsburgh. And to be frank, I don't really care. But I'm so curious to see if Justin Fields can rip that starting job from him, because I think Justin Fields deserves another shot.
Yeah, I do too. I don't know if he's going to get it this season because it's a calf strain, or it's a calf injury. We don't know to what level he's injured his calf, but Russell Wilson could be back. He could take over his starting job, and he could play well enough that it never justifies a switch at the starting quarterback position. He could play healthy enough that they don't need to worry about a quarterback controversy at any point during the season, because if he's playing well and he's healthy, what's the difference? You don't want to change what's working. So that could very well be the case. I don't forecast that being the case, because I also feel like if you're an offensive coordinator, if you're Mike Tomlin, a head coach, and you have such a valuable asset sitting on the bench, you're going to try to get him on the field in some unique ways, some two quarterback packages, things like that.
Returning kicks.
Yeah. Well, probably not as a returner, because again, if you're smart and you're Justin Fields' agent, you're doing everything you can to keep him in the quarterback room, because that's where the money is. But I digress. Yeah, I do think it's possible that this storyline goes away because Russell Wilson plays well enough. However, I'm also aware of the recent past, like you are, and like many NFL analysts, they have echoed exactly your sentiments. They don't think he has it anymore. Now, I'm willing to bet, I'm willing to guess that sometimes you could end up in a system that doesn't match you, even if that's a great system with a great head coach, and maybe Sean Payton was just pressing all the wrong buttons with Russell Wilson.
Maybe it started with Nathaniel Hackett. Maybe he's that bad of a coach to where he broke Russell Wilson.
Yeah, maybe there was some afterglow from the mess that was the Nathaniel Hackett ran Denver Broncos, that it didn't work all that well. And maybe Mike Tomlin, by the way, who to me matches the personality more of a Pete Carroll, defensive-minded head coach, also a great players coach, just like Pete Carroll. Maybe he's going to maximize the talents of Russell Wilson, just like Pistol Pete was able to do out there in Seattle. We'll see. Here's the problem though for the Steelers. Most times, it doesn't work out so smoothly. Most times when you have an aging veteran quarterback whose play may be declining, and you have a young upstart kid waiting impatiently behind him to get starting snaps, this becomes a controversy at some point. And I'm predicting that for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, how they handle that, we'll see. But one thing you can say is, even with garbage quarterbacks in controversy in Pittsburgh last year, they were still able to earn double-digit wins, so maybe they're able to do it again.
Forgive me for asking a very Steve Hartman question, but I'm going to ask a very Steve Hartman question because I think it's applicable in this statement. Now, Russ has been to 2 1-1, right, for Super Bowls?
Yes.
Because he threw the interception to Malcolm Butler. That was okay. Has he played himself out of a gold jacket?
Look,
because he has the credentials. He's a Super Bowl winning quarterback. He has all the passing statistics. He's amassed a ton of yards through his time in Seattle and even in Denver. Like, Russ has the statistics probably for a gold jacket, but if you stain your legacy like he has, where it's been 2 years of suck, and that's putting it lightly maybe, is it possible to play yourself out of a gold jacket? Because he was on that trajectory.
So I know the narrative is he sucks, and that may be true when you look at the whole picture. But if you look at his stats the last couple of seasons,
well, last year, the first year was awful.
It wasn't great. It wasn't Russell Wilson-esque. I mean, but it's not like he dropped completely off planet Earth, but it was not Russell Wilson. Last year, better. I think that year with Payton is going to be remembered maybe more fondly than like when we were, because we all do this. When you revise history, you're going to gloss over the narrative of that year, and you're just going to look at the stats. Like that's the reality. Now, you may remember because that year was right up against the fact that he became a Steeler next year, and you'll remember why, and you'll be like, oh yeah, and the Denver Broncos like paid for him to leave. And
the question, why? How the hell did the Steelers get him for $1.7 million?
Yeah, and how did they get the Denver Broncos to pay $80 million for him to be a Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback? So yeah, maybe the narrative will be there. I don't know. Hall of Fame voters, they do have a short menu, a lot of them, and like you just mentioned, Super Bowl victories are definitely on the menu. Super Bowl appearances are definitely on the menu, and for some Pro Bowl visits and all those things, he's got a lot of accolades to his name. If I were voting, I would vote him in. I don't think you can write the history of the league without mentioning Russell Wilson's name. I think he was important for the position, the evolution of the position. He's one of those players who, if there's no Russell Wilson, is there a Patrick Mahomes? Is there as much trust in a Patrick Mahomes being drafted by an older ball coach like Andy Reid if there is no Russell Wilson? And by the way, Andy Reid kind of liked that style of play, see Donovan McNabb. So maybe there still is. My point being, though, is he helped transition the quarterback position out of the pocket passing nature that was there previously to his career, and ushered in a new era where there really is about 50-50 guys who sit back there in the pocket and deliver the football, and guys who want to get outside the pocket and explore and create and improvise and play. And Russell Wilson was very much a part of that evolution. So I would vote him in. I don't think he can really damage his career enough to be voted out, in my opinion. But we'll see. We'll see. Can't predict the future.
Maybe the Steelers win the Super Bowl this year. Then it's a no-doubter.
It's not easy being green. It's going to be a lot harder being silver and black here coming up this season, I have a feeling. We'll explain exactly what that means. But first, I want to explain exactly how I lost all this weight. I'm down 30 plus pounds, and it's all thanks to our friends Wayne and Chloe at sdfatloss.com. They've been incredible mentors for me, for Fletch, who's down over 40 pounds, they've been incredible mentors for TD, who even on vacation, he's still keeping his weight down. Also, he's done a ton of walking around Manhattan. He's been in NYC all week long, so that's helping too. But with sdfatloss.com, you're not even going to need to walk. You don't have to exercise at all. You're losing weight the natural way, controlling your diet, and you're not being shipped in, disgusting meal replacement shakes or injections or any of those types of things. You don't have to count points or calories. You're just losing weight by following a plan. And by the way, it's really following a new lifestyle because this is sustainable. You lose the weight with the weight loss plan, the weight loss phase, and then you have a maintenance phase that you enter where you're still eating all the things that you love to eat, but you're just doing it in a different way so that you keep the weight off. It's worked for all three of us. We have heard from our family members who haven't seen us in a while when we visit home and do those things. Wow, you look great. What is we say go to sdfatloss.com. Check them out. Wayne and Chloe, they can help you wherever you are, by the way. Doesn't matter if you're in San Diego or not. If you're listening from afar, go to sdfatloss.com. They can meet with you on Zoom. They can send you all the information in the mail. They'll mail you whatever you need to get started on the plan. And then you're off to the races. And by the way, if you go to sdfatloss.com right now, you save $200 on your subscription just by simply mentioning you heard it right here on Big Rich, TD, and Fletch. Okay, more show coming up next. The iHeartRadio Music Festival in September. Now is your opportunity to buy those tickets to go see the show. An incredible lineup, okay? We got Hozier, Gwen Stefani, Doja Cat, Camila Cabello, Thomas Rhett, Victoria Monet. I love how I pronounce this. Dua Lipa and Halsey. Now's your chance to buy the tickets. Go to AXS.com. That's AXS.com to go see the show in September. So Antonio Pierce has created a brand new image for the Las Vegas Raiders, who, by the way, are hosting their training camp in Los Angeles, but they're not allowed to broadcast that. They're in Costa Mesa, actually.
They're at the Chargers' old facility. But Tom Telesco didn't even need to change offices.
Exactly. Yeah, he's like back in his old stomping grounds. But because they're within the 75-mile radius of the corporate borders of Los Angeles, they're not allowed to promote the fact that they are hosting their training camp where they're hosting it. But I digress on that storyline to focus on this new storyline. So the Raiders are poking the bear. They have a Patrick Mahomes Kermit the Frog puppet at training camp. The man is 10-2 against the Raiders. The Chiefs have won this division 8 straight times. I don't understand the thought process behind trolling Patrick Mahomes now.
So it's still stupid, but it's a little less stupid now that I've done some research on it. I guess a fan brought it. So Raiders fan Josh Giacopetti, Italian guy, nice. He dressed up a Kermit doll to look just like the Chiefs quarterback, Patrick Mahomes, and passed it to rookie safety Trey Taylor, who has now been running it all around camp. So not only it was a fan who brought it, which makes it a little bit better, but it's a rookie who's running it all over the place and taking videos with it. Rookie, dumb move, especially because you are a rookie safety who might be playing defense against the best quarterback in the NFL twice this year.
Look, I don't want to overstate this because this is kind of a silly thing. It doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things, but stars, greats, they can be very petty. Like think about Michael Jordan, right? When we went back and we revisited his whole career with his documentary, the Netflix series over the course of the pandemic. We all sat down. We were fascinated not only to see his greatness, like recognizing and remembering his greatness, but also listening to current day Jordan talk about all those people who poked the bear in the past. Like he still had an axe to grind. He was like, yeah. And you know what? I was better than him. And he knew it. Like, you were watching this. I mean, this is now like a guy who's been retired close to 30 years. And it's as if he's this close to it. He's getting himself worked up into an angry lather. There was a point where he had to stop the recording because he was so upset. Patrick Mahomes is going to take this personally. I promise you. I promise you he's going to take this personally.
Yeah, when I saw this yesterday, I chuckled at first because it's pretty funny.
It is very
honestly,
funny.
the doll is kind of cute, and it's Kermit the Frog, and Patrick Mahomes sounds like Kermit the Frog.
It's got like the Patrick Mahomes
Yeah,
hair. It's got
great.
his jersey. It's very.
This man did an awesome job putting this together, but then the second thought came in, and I'm like, "Oh, Raiders, good luck. You're going to lose 70-0 this year twice."
Oh, it's going to be so bad for them.
Think about what the Chiefs have already done to the Raiders. You remember that ring around the Rosie play?
Yeah,
Like Andy Reid was just like, "Yeah, screw it. It's the Raiders. Let's do something wacky."
yeah, we don't care.
Guess what? It's going to be worse this year.
Oh, it's going to be so bad. And by the way, Andy Reid's petty too. Andy Reid, like he will see this and he'll be like, "Oh, my quarterback? You guys are coming after okay, rookie head coach, right? Yeah, never. He was an interim last year. Yeah. We're gonna teach them a lesson. We see them win. How many times?
Oh, wait,
Twice?
that's a rookie safety too. Guess what? All of Travis Kelce's routes this week are going to be heading right to you.
Yeah. Well, and that's if he even makes the team. That's the other thing about this. This could be a guy, and I don't know how his training camp's going. I don't know how, where the Raiders are in their secondary, if he's even going to get any snaps, but not good. Not good.
Idiots.
All right. Coming up next, we get back to the huge day for the Padres, a historic day on the road against the Nats. Dylan Cease's no-hitter. Your thoughts. We want to hear from you. 70470. Start your message with team. Where were you when Dylan Cease threw that no-hitter? What was your reaction to it? Also, you could hit us up on the talkback mic. It's that microphone button next to the play button. If you're listening on the free iHeartRadio app, go ahead and click the talkback mic button. Let's hear from you about that Dylan Cease no-hitter. Today's a big day in Paris with the opening ceremony happening later this morning. People will be tuned in all over the next couple of weeks to see all the exciting events taking place. And thanks to Island's Restaurant, you can tune into San Diego Sports 760 weekday mornings and get the official medal updates. We will keep you informed of what's going on in Paris as we cheer on the exceptional athletes on their journey to gold. And if you're craving that beach vibe, remember, there's an Islands restaurant near you with all your favorites like the Big Wave served with Islands' famous seasoned fresh cut fries, the Shorebird, Yaki tacos. How about those drinks? Islands Tropical Mai Tai, spicy margaritas, and the coldest beer. And I do mean the coldest beer in town. Islands Happy Hour is your weekdays, is every weekday from 3 to 6:30, featuring more of your Islands favorites like the cheesiest of cheddar fries, nacho and Bavarian pretzel bites with Island Sunny Blonde Ale beer. Cheers. All right. It's time to visit your local paradise, Islands Fine Burgers and Drinks.
This update is presented by AutoZone. Get in the zone. Padres. Dylan Cease threw a no-hitter yesterday, and it was a pretty freaking cool moment. 3-0 win for the Padres. They sweep the Nationals for the second time this season. Today, it's going to be Adam Major on the mound as they head to Baltimore for the final leg of this road trip. NFL news and notes. Russell Wilson has a calf issue in Pittsburgh. Justin Fields has been getting first-team reps. Falcons' new quarterback, Kirk Cousins, he's been medically cleared to practice after that Achilles injury last year with Minnesota. And the Rams and Vikings both have young cornerbacks who have potential season-ending ACL tears to start training camp. It's time to say goodnight to that check engine light with the free AutoZone Fix Finder service. It'll help troubleshoot the likely cause of your light for free so you can drive with peace of mind. Restrictions do apply. Get in the zone. AutoZone.
Thank God it's Friday! It's been a long week and the fellas are thirsty.
Scotch. Here it goes down into my belly.
It's time to cruise into the weekend. Big Rich, TD, and Fletch present Bar Card Friday. Brought to you by Keg and Bottle. With the best selection of bourbon, whiskey, tequila, private section bottles, and more.
My problem is I drink too much, way too much.
Yeah.
I get my doctor a urine specimen. There was an olive in it.
Now, let's pour some drinks.
Yeah, let's pour some drinks indeed. We're about an hour away from pouring our first one. We're going to focus on some delicious, decadent golf course drinks. Of course, Tony Kanja, who owns and operates Keg and Bottle, 10 locations around San Diego, joined us for the Long Ball Invitational back on Tuesday, where we may have tipped back a couple.
One or two.
Yeah.
I think we all did a nice job of keeping it together.
Absolutely.
And our golf score reflects that. We weren't like really good, then really bad. Oh, wait.
We were.
That's exactly what happened.
We may have accidentally overdone it.
We were overserved. Not our fault.
I feel like it was the responsibility of the drink servers and bar staff around the golf course to make sure that we weren't, and we were overserved. So I blame them. We blame them.
By the way, I didn't know this, but you remember the guy who had all the tattoos? Tony. Also Tony.
Yeah, Tony, yeah.
So apparently he has an Instagram account called Only Hands.
That's right. You don't remember this when he came in studio?
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
I forgot that he came in
He
studio.
was a guest bartender.
He was posting you and me to his story all day long.
All day
at
long.
the Long Ball Invitational. And I was told about this yesterday.
Yeah, he was impressed with us for two reasons. One, I think for the fact that every time he saw us, he would ply us with alcohol. I mean, just a tremendous amount. And then also we got buzzed, I would say, never inebriated. And we kept that going the entire time, but he was fascinated with the speed in which that I shotgun beers or a long ball. That came up several times in conversation. He also was really appreciative that we were golfing for the most part with three people so he could guest swing for us. He many times picked up a club, one of ours, and he did better than us. He's actually a pretty decent golfer. So thank you to Tony, otherwise known as Only Hands on Instagram. Very unique name. So listen, we're going to get back to Dylan Cease and the Padres' success over this 6-game road trip so far. It extends to 9-game here as they head to Baltimore today. They'll face the Orioles. It's going to be Adam Major on the mound, but it was the man who was on the mound yesterday that stole all the headlines across Major League Baseball as Dylan Cease throws the Padres' second ever franchise no-hitter. We'll get back to that story, but I do want to focus in on the stress that is been induced by all the massive contracts waiting to be negotiated for the Dallas Cowboys. They have 4. They have 4 contracts that they potentially could be negotiating right now and are, and they have yet to sign any of these people. Micah Parsons, Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, and Mike McCarthy, their head coach.
I was wondering what the fourth one was.
So what's interesting about that fourth one is you could argue that may be like the most important one when you really think about success of a football team. So yes, you need a great quarterback, but you also need stability in an organization. You also need somebody who is going to hold the line, somebody who's going to hold the team accountable. If your head coach is a lame duck, and trust me, I played for a team where a head coach was a lame duck and everybody knew it was a dead man walking. It's not a good scene.
It's pretty cool that Belichick was able to work his way out of being the lame duck coach with the New England Patriots when you were there. That's not what you were talking about.
No.
But no, Mike McCarthy, that's exactly what he is. And now I said this last week with TD, and then I heard Colin actually say it this week, so I felt vindicated. Don't you think Jerry Jones just has hard eyes right now for Bill Belichick? As soon as, like, Jerry Jones is almost hoping he gets to fire Mike McCarthy at the end of this season, so he has a chance to run at Bill Belichick, and they can go out on their careers together, hopefully winning a Super Bowl.
It's possible. And listen, Colin Cowherd says a lot of things that he then changes his mind about.
When Colin was right, when Colin was wrong. Yeah.
It goes in the exact opposite direction. So I don't know if it vindicates you much, but I do think there is some truth to what you just said and what Colin repeated. It's one of those things where if you're dating a guy or a girl, right, you know, whatever your type is, and there is maybe a less serious relationship you're currently involved in, and you kind of look across the bar and you see somebody who may or may not be expressing some interest toward you, whether it be through other channels, like maybe you have a friend who tells you, yeah, no, she's really into you. Or maybe it's like a whisper through down the hall, yeah, no, she just got broken up with. Like, and all of a sudden you're like, wait a second, you know, I really like this current situation, but is there a way to upgrade? It's human nature. Now, don't get me wrong. When you find the one, you stick with them. And I don't think Jerry Jones feels like he found the one. He moved on from Jason Garrett, who he was loyal to, but commonly loyal to. Jerry Jones usually stays too long at the party with head coaches, and he does that with players too, but that's just a part of who he is. So Jason Garrett got probably a longer leash than a head coach should have. And Mike McCarthy, I don't think is going to be able to enjoy the same fate because he's an outsider. He came into the program. I don't think he's necessarily ingratiated himself in a big way to Jerry Jones because he's admitted publicly he got the job lying to Jerry Jones. He literally told Jerry Jones, I watched every single play from last season, and I can tell you this and I can tell you that. And then later admitted it. Yeah, I made all that up. How could I possibly have watched? I didn't have enough time to do that.
You remember Mike McCarthy talked about, I was in the basement this entire last NFL season with whiteboards everywhere, writing out stuff that I want to do, creating a whole new offense. And then he said that was all BS.
Yeah. I mean, he literally publicly admitted that none of that was true. It's weird. It's a weird thing to do. First of all, it's a weird thing to lie about if it isn't true. And second of all, if you lied about it, you're kind of stuck with that lie. Like, I don't know why you then publicly admit it, but okay. So he kind of pulled the wool over Jerry Jones's eyes, and they've had success. I mean, they've made playoffs. I'm not saying that it's been completely bad with Mike McCarthy. It definitely has not. But the problem for Mike McCarthy is he doesn't have a contract, and they're going into this next season. So yeah, does Micah Parsons need a deal? There's no question. Does CeeDee Lamb need a deal? There's no question. Does Dak Prescott? Well, there is a little bit of a question. It depends on what you want your future to be because your quarterback means so much to the franchise. So you got to make a hard choice on Dak Prescott, but you may have to make a harder choice on Mike McCarthy because, again, if you leave this coach as a lame duck all season long, if you don't extend him, what does that send the message to the locker room? It sends a message to the locker room. You don't have to trust anything this guy says because we don't trust him enough to extend his contract. This sets a terrible precedent. If you want to have a good year, if you want your players to listen to your head coach, if you don't want a mutiny on your hands, like if you go on a 2-game or dare I say a 3-game skid at some point in the season and this guy loses the locker room, you're going to spin out. So they better extend Mike McCarthy. Otherwise, the Dallas Cowboys are going to have a huge mess on their hands.
Now, there's for sure some internal bias here, and it's been baked in since I was a child. I've been raised to hate the Dallas Cowboys. Like, more than anything, more than the Raiders, they hate the Dallas Cowboys since birth because of my grandfather. What is their actual ceiling this year? Because if you were to ask me that question, I would say, well, it's probably going to be another 10, 11, 12 win season because of the division that they play in. And then it's going to end up with an early exit in the postseason by the hands of either the Detroit Lions, the Green Bay Packers, or the San Francisco 49ers. Like, I just think that is the Cowboys' absolute max they can do this year. I don't know that a Super Bowl is even in the cards with this team.
Well, I could say this. I could say NFC Championship game. I don't think they're going to appear in a Super Bowl, but appearing in an NFC Championship game, I would say that's the absolute ceiling. I don't think it's inconceivable to think, well, the Cowboys can win a Super Bowl. I think that's possible. I'm not going to say it's likely. I would say a more likely scenario is they end up in an NFC championship game against a more talented squad, like like you just mentioned, like a Detroit Lions or San Francisco 49ers, or dare I say a Los Angeles Rams, who were a pleasant surprise out of the NFC last year, who it seems like Sean McVay is inarguably one of the best coaches, young coaches certainly, but best coaches this game has seen in a long time. He finds a way to win, and Matthew Stafford, assuming health, is one of the best quarterbacks in this league. So it's conceivable that the Rams could be there. Who knows? But I do see them losing that game more likely than not. Here's the other thing. Is that enough for Mike McCarthy to save his job? If it goes as well as I possibly could predict and they do appear in an NFC championship game, does he keep his job? Well, here's the crazy thing about this. If they're on pace to get to an NFC championship game, if they're on pace for another double-digit winning season and he doesn't get extended, what message does that send again to this locker room?
I think it's the message, and it's a similar one that we talk about with the Dodgers. Like, Dave Roberts has kept his job for a long time, but outside of that COVID season, Dave Roberts never ended up winning a World Series. It would be great regular season, lose in the postseason. That's what the Cowboys have been for essentially my whole life.
I get it, but you look
at a certain point, Jerry Jones is going to get sick of it.
I know, but at a certain point, you also got to remember it's a business, and you look at it through the lens of being a businessman. The Dallas Cowboys are one of the most popular teams in the world, and also you got to look at it through the lens of, you know what? By the way, we've won a lot of football games with Mike McCarthy. So is it time? I don't know. I think you have to extend this guy before the season. Otherwise, nobody's going to listen to him, and you're going to put this season in the tank. We do it every day. It's the morning monologue. Fletch, lead us off.
So this is a coincidence that I do not want anyone to read too far into, but it's something I noticed yesterday, and I haven't really heard it talked about. Do you remember Joe Musgrove's no-hitter?
I do.
I remember it vividly.
I do.
I remember going to 7-Eleven the next day to pick up a newspaper that had the big old Java Joe on the front. Still have it. It's actually in my apartment right now. What I remember most from that is the final out of that game. And I remember Manny Machado being the first one out of the dugout to go celebrate Java Joe. And yesterday, guess what? Same thing. Good job on the captain. He was the one to dump the Gatorade bath on Dylan Cease. He was the first one out of the dugout to go celebrate Dylan Cease. I actually thought that was a really great moment for Manny. The other thing I noticed, a very similar situation between yesterday's no-hitter and Joe Musgrove's no-hitter. In 2021, Fernando Tatis Jr. was the shortstop of the San Diego Padres. He was not the shortstop at the time of the no-hitter. Ha-Seong Kim was playing short, throwing to Jurickson Profar, who was at first base. Ha-Seong Kim will forever be tied into that final call from Don Orsillo of throwing the ball to first base to end Joe Musgrove's no-hitter. Yesterday,
oh, this is interesting.
Bryce Johnson was playing right field for the San Diego Padres. Bryce Johnson will forever be connected via the voice of Don Orsillo to the final call of Dylan Cease's no-hitter. Not Fernando Tatis Jr., who was not in right field yesterday because he's out due to injury. Again, this is a coincidence more than anything. Obviously, this is not Fernando's fault that he's injured. It's not his fault that he's not playing in right field. But what a fait accompli that the two no-hitters in franchise history, not sure if those are the right words.
No.
Sure. Are the two no-hitters in franchise history. Both times, Fernando Tatis Jr. should have been in the position that made the final out in the games.
That is fascinating. That's a coincidence I did not think about, was not really aware of until you just mentioned it. A fait accompli is something that's determined before it actually is determined.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of works.
Well, not really.
Sort of.
Not even close. But I will say this. What is interesting is some of the better moments for the Padres in recent history have happened with Fernando Tatis Jr. not on the field.
Both no-hitters, 2022 postseason run.
Yeah, it's a little strange. It's a weird through line. I think the Padres are better with Fernando Tatis Jr. than without Fernando Tatis Jr. I want to be on the record with that. But it is odd that the Padres just seem to have uncommon success when he's unavailable. Now, I will also caution anybody who's taking that too far to say he was available and active and a great player for them during the pandemic season in 2020, where the Padres on a shortened season went into the postseason. He was an incredibly important part of
top 5
that.
MVP voting that year. He was a beast. In fact, the years that he's been fully healthy, he has been a beast. This year, unfortunately, is another one where he's not, and it's happening more often than not throughout his career. Now, the first part of my monologue.
Yes.
Manny Machado does deserve a ton of credit. In moments like that, I think he's really good. The first guy out of the dugout, obviously it's an easy moment to be good in, right? He's also the guy dumping the Gatorade bath. It's an easy moment to be good in, but I'm glad he did it.
Yeah, I'm glad he did it too, but leadership isn't when it's easy, it's when it's hard. I'm sorry. Look, I'm a Manny Machado fan. I want to see this guy have an incredible amount of success in this city, for this team. But Manny Machado is a great leader when it's easy to be a great leader. I need to see Manny Machado be a better leader when it's hard. And unfortunately, and this is not only just Rich Ohrnberger saying this, or, anything that you've heard from any other people critical of Manny's leadership, this is coming from Kevin Acee. This is coming from Manny himself at times being kind of introspective and thinking about how he could do more. Well, that's a part of being a leader, is kind of wearing it sometimes. And I don't think he does a great job of that. I'm waiting to be impressed. I'm not impressed if somebody celebrates a no-hitter. That's not impressive. So I understand it's nice to see. But you know what? Everybody can celebrate a no-hitter. That one's not difficult.
I did it right here in studio.
Yeah, you did a great job, by the way.
I was cheering.
I was listening. You were excited. It is a where were you when moment, and it is really it's really fun when you think back to Joe Musgrove's no-hitter, when you think back to yesterday and where were you when you heard the news or you watched the no-hitter from Dylan Cease. It's amazing how sports can connect you to certain moments, and I'm sure many San Diegans like we will never forget where they were. Here's an interesting thing that happened to me yesterday. While I was thinking about Dylan Cease etching his name in history, I was thinking about how the Padres, how they've done this from time to time, where, like, in the most unsuspecting of moments, they've become the whole story. Like all of a sudden, everybody was talking about the Padres. And now, I don't know if it's here and now. I don't know if it's going to be later on in this season, but I have a good feeling. And I don't usually go off of things like this. I don't believe in the mystical. I'm not particularly religious, but
the fait accompli.
That's not how you use that term. That's still. But I did have this moment where I was like, oh, you know what? Something's happening here. Like, this feels different than it felt last year. At no point last year did I think not once was I like, oh, wow, the Padres, they are a team of destiny. This year, all of a sudden, I'm starting to get those vibes. If you believe in all that stuff, great. If you don't, I'm kind of with you. But there's a very different feeling around this ball club this year. I think it's being fueled by the flame that has been Jurickson Profar season. I think it's been fueled by maybe the inexperience. Like, you don't know how hard it is to be a professional baseball player if you've never been a professional baseball player. And so Jackson Merrill has never been a professional baseball player, and he makes
it look easy.
Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, maybe he just doesn't know how hard this is. And so he's just like, he just went out there and he had early success and he was like, all right, I could do this. And ignorance is bliss sometimes. Like, he looks like he belongs, and he sounds like he does too. When that guy speaks to the media, he sounds like he's been playing baseball for the past 10 years. The addition of Dylan Cease, that was something that, look, when he came over, we were thinking, well, what Dylan Cease are you going to get? You're going to get last year's Dylan Cease, which was okay, or are you going to get the year prior where he pitched like an all-star? We didn't know. Luis Arraez, when he came here, nobody knew him from Adam. And he was an all-star with his former team in Florida, and now he's an all-star here. Like, that's not typical. Typically, Padres players, when they're traded for or when they get here signed in free agency, they struggle for a little bit. It just feels like, I don't know. I all of a sudden had this moment where I'm like, this is something special's happening here, and I'm going to bathe in it for a second. And maybe it's not true. Maybe this moment will pass. Maybe I'm getting way too high on the recent supply of victories.
Probably
5 games over 500 feels really good right now heading into the trade deadline. But for the first time this season, you know me. I've been pretty. I haven't been negative, but I've been pretty measured.
You and I have done a good job. That one, not so much.
No, yeah. TD, he's not here today. Otherwise, he'd be off the rails.
Yes.
But we've been pretty measured.
He would say something like, Padres are winning the World Series.
Right. But I got to tell you, Fletch, for the first time all year long, I had this feeling, I got this little tickle somewhere. And I'm just like, wait a second.
So I felt it a few times too, Rich, and I did feel it again yesterday. The problem is every time I've had that feeling so far this season, it has been followed by a stretch of god-awful baseball. It's been followed by a sweep to the Colorado Rockies at Petco Park or a sweep from the Los Angeles Angels. Like, that's the reason I'm not letting myself get there, because guess what? They're playing the Orioles next. Honestly, I'm expecting the Padres to win the series.
Oh, gosh.
Because they're playing against a really good team. But then do you know what's coming in August? 6 games against the Rockies, 6 games against the Pirates.
I know.
3 games against the Marlins. Those are 3 teams below you in the wild card standings. The Rockies and the Marlins are literally the 2 last place teams in the National League.
I get it.
Like, that's what's coming. And that gives me such a pit in my stomach.
And I'm not saying I'm different from you, because this is, like I said, this feeling could be fleeting. This is literally the first time I felt it, though.
And this is the day to do it, by the way. It's a Friday. We're heading into the weekend. Let your freak flag fly, bro.
Yeah.
Let your freak flag fly.
There's a lot of consonants in those words. It's very difficult to keep them organized. The point is, I haven't felt this way all season long. And that was my reaction to Dylan Cease's no-hitter.
Now,
we'd love to hear from everybody out there, your reaction to Dylan Cease's no-hitter. Are you like me? Are you getting a little over your skis right now? Are you thinking World Series? Like, are you putting the little question mark there, but for the first time this season, you're thinking it's possible? Or is this going to be one of those footnotes in Padres history as a part of another maybe overwhelmingly forgettable season, and we just carry on with our lives like we did back in 2021 when Joe Musgrove threw his no-hitter? I don't know. I'm for the first time, I'm willing to get a little bit over my skis, and it feels good. So hit us up on the talkback mic. It's the microphone button next to the play button on the free iHeartRadio app. We would love to hear from you there. That's the talkback mic. You click that button. Fletch gets a little message, little alert on his dashboard there in the production studio, and he can play any message you leave for us on air, as long as you don't curse up a storm, because that happens sometimes. A lot of people have some choice words for us, which, by the way, we like to hear that too. So if you want to use the talkback mic for that as well, we're cool. Also, you could text us 70470. Start your message with team if you want to leave us a message there. But what did Dylan Cease's no-hitter do to your thought process on how the rest of this season is going to go? We'd love to hear from you. Okay, listen, today is a huge day in Paris with the opening ceremony happening later this morning. People will be tuned in all over the place the next couple of weeks to see all the exciting events taking place. And thanks to Islands Restaurant, you can tune into San Diego Sports 760 weekday mornings. You could get official medal updates. We'll keep you informed on what's going on in Paris as we cheer on all of our exceptional American athletes on their journey to gold. And how about considering another journey? A journey to Islands Restaurants. Yeah, there's one near you. I love Islands. They have this incredibly vast menu of items that you're surely going to enjoy, and they will please every palate. If you're looking for family-friendly, beachy vibe atmosphere with some delicious food and drinks, check out Islands happy hour specials weekdays from 3 to 6:30. Also, whether it's the big wave or seasoned fries or yaki tacos or their other drinks like tropical Mai Tais, there's something for everyone. You're going to enjoy your trip to the islands. I guarantee it. Visit your local paradise. Islands fine burgers and drinks. 8th in Chula Vista. You know where to be the next hour and a half. That's with us, because I'm not going to tell you when. All right. We're going to spring it on you because we're tricky around here. We'll just spring it on you. We'll just be like, now's the time to call. Well, not right now. Don't call right now. But, at any point we could do that. 858 texted in earlier when we were talking about the Raiders. The Raiders are the last team to beat the Chiefs. He said something else with a rookie QB. You two are whack. Rich, the Chargers don't remember you, and the 40 whiners will always choke in the big game. Biggest losers everywhere, ever. Have a great Friday. Okay, so.
Hey, screw you, man.
Yeah, listen, the 40 whiners, they do choke in big moments.
He spelled it 49 winners.
Oh, he did. 49 winners. Yeah, he did.
It means he loves the 49ers.
He probably does. And yeah, the Chargers don't remember me. I've been retired for 10 years.
And by the way, Brock Purdy is so muscular.
There's not a single. Let me tell you what I thought when I was a football player and a guy from 10 years ago would come and visit our practice. I'd be like, who's that old guy?
Is there anyone there outside of Spanos who was there when you were there?
No, not a single person.
Nick.
Oh yeah, Nick. Yeah, Nick's the only one. He would be the only, like, if I walked into the Chargers building, the only person who would recognize me, unless they hired someone unbeknownst to me that would still know me, or they still have maybe an athletic trainer or two on staff in the training room.
Well, who was the GM when you were there? Was it AJ Smith or was it Telesco?
No, it was Telesco.
Okay.
He's with the Raiders now.
Right, but he's at the old Chargers old training facility now in his same old office.
Well, but he's with the
Chargers
Raiders.
Are at the Bolt now. By the way, your boy, who's the kid from that dumb TV show that you and CD like from the 90s, Saved by the Bell?
Oh, Zach Morris.
Who's the guy that you guys like so much?
Mark Paul Gosselaar?
No, the handsome one.
Oh, AC Slater.
Yep. What's his real name in
Mario
real life?
Lopez.
That's the one. Born in San Diego. Now shooting promos for the Chargers every day.
Well, okay, but doesn't that make sense a little bit?
No.
What? That a person born in San Diego roots for the Chargers?
No, that
Do you
part
know how many people in San Diego still root for the Chargers?
I know. That makes sense. But Mario Lopez just walking through the halls of their new training facility. What's it called? The Bolt.
The Bolt.
With Jim Harbaugh showing him around.
Hang on a second. Let me just explain this to you. Like, you have a weird fascination or hatred for Mario Lopez. Why?
I don't know.
Because we revisit this. There was a point where I think you were told that you shouldn't like him. And so you just, without ever really observing what he was about, you just were like, fine, I'll hate him.
Bingo.
Why are you? Why are you like this?
Let's see. I was real impressionable at the time. I was like 22 years old.
Yeah.
And I was just told, hey, this guy sucks. And I was like, yeah, damn right he does.
But
screw him and his perfect looking face.
But he's handsome. He's talented.
I mean, if you want to call that talent, sure.
Yeah. I mean,
what's he ever done for me?
Not much. Honestly, that's where I do agree with you. He hasn't done much for you at all, especially lately. He doesn't write. He doesn't call. It's absolutely ridiculous.
We've gotten this text a bunch. This Tom Aspinall and Curtis Blades. Do you know what that is at all? Is it boxing?
Oh, no, I don't. I have no idea what you're talking
okay,
about.
so this is UFC 304. Sorry, this text came in. This is one of the co-main events this weekend. But on the card in UFC 304, there are some awesome fights. And the one texter is really concerned about this one. So I don't know if there's something I'm missing here. Like, if one of these guys is a San Diegan or something, I apologize. I don't know. Texter from the 760, please let me know what you're saying.
Yeah, I have no idea.
This is the fourth time he's texted this over the last 2 days.
I've told you this before about the UFC, and actually, this could be a jumping off point here right now. The UFC so desperately needs some juice. Don't get me wrong. I think it's great that they go viral because they'll have celebrities in the crowd and you'll have some exciting fights and some exciting outcomes, but this sport has really, really diminished in public interest in a lot of the cards that they have because they don't have a Conor McGregor and they don't have a Ronda Rousey. They need him to get back in that cage and fight and they need it in a hurry.
The latest rumor is that he's going to appear in the September 1, the 306 at the Las Vegas Sphere, which if that actually happens, originally that card was supposed to be dedicated to Mexican Independence Day, but apparently Conor should be ready for that time frame. And so if that happens, that'll be one of the most popular fights of all time.
Well, and we were talking about this the other day off the air, but Mexican Independence Day and UFC Dana White, he's done an incredible job at sort of stealing boxing's thunder. Mexican Independence Day for forever has been a boxing day. Like in terms of like boxing has usually had some of their most important and impressive pay-per-view fights during Mexican Independence Day. And UFC observes a lot of what happens with boxing and they say, oh, well, why not us?
We'll do it better.
We'll do it better. Exactly. Or we'll try. And like, you can't blame them for trying. Look at the NFL. Christmas Day forever has been a NBA holiday. It's been, we're going to stack the lineup in our favor. You're going to have all the most important players taking the floor on Christmas Day until the NFL went, well, you know what? Maybe we should do that. And they did. And guess what? They won.
Now, the UFC has been on a roll, and they are trying to build up a couple superstars, but I am a pretty firm believer in stars aren't built, they're born. And like Conor McGregor was a star born.
Yeah.
In a single moment.
You can build stars too. We've seen that before where somebody kind of slowly, gradually graduates into stardom. But I agree with you.
They're working it right now. They're trying to get Paddy Pimblett, who we've had in studio before, but they're working on making him a star. They're giving him some cupcake fights. I think he has another one this weekend, actually. He's a part of 304. Sugar Sean O'Malley is a star, and Dana is doing the best he can to get him everywhere. The unfortunate part is the best fighters in the league right now are kind of boring. Like Alex Pereira is one of the best fighters ever, but he's not a huge personality.
No, he's not. And don't get me wrong. I appreciate humility and I appreciate humble fighters or athletes. I think it's great. I mean, Patrick Mahomes is, in the biggest star in the NFL. And I mean, when you listen to him talk, it's not like he's saying anything audacious. He's not coming out of his shoes, and he's not a Conor McGregor, he's not a Floyd Mayweather, but the fight game has always been that way. The NFL, you don't have to. I mean, Tom Brady was milquetoast for most of his career. He would say the most boring things into the microphone, but he was so undeniably great on the football field. He was a star. You don't have to try very hard in other sports, but in UFC and boxing, you have to sing for your supper. You've got to find a way to cut through. Conor McGregor was able to do it. Now, he can still do it for the UFC. They got to get him back in the octagon. They got to do it quick, like I said, because, yes, it's very cool that your crowd shots are going viral. But you know what was going viral when Conor was in the octagon was his press conferences and his fights. Like, those were the things that were going viral. When Ronda Rousey was at the top of the women's side of the UFC, it was her fights. It was her submissions. It was her knockout victories. And by the way, when she lost or when Conor lost, those were important moments for the UFC also. They need their next star, desperately searching for it. Like the NBA, frankly. Like when LeBron James retires, golf. When Tiger Woods retires, when he finally, like you got to start finding your next star. Look, the Padres found their star in trade, Dylan Cease. Unbelievable year so far for Dylan Cease. It's not capped yet. It ain't over, but he just had a career-defining moment on the road in Washington with the no-hitter. And we are lining up the text messages and the talkback mic to hear from you about it. What do you got?
Can we hand out a lap to a listener? Is that okay?
Well, yeah, I think we can.
858. If TD was making the call that Don did, he would have said that it was a cease of San Diegans instead of a sea of San Diegans.
Lap.
We actually got a talk back also.
You want to play it on the other side?
Sure.
All right, let's do that. We want to hear from you, though. Your thoughts on this Padres season on the other side of the no-hitter. Is this a season of destiny, or are we heading, is that light at the end of the tunnel a train? What is happening? What's your feeling after the Dylan Cease no-hitter? We'd love to hear from you. 70470. Start your message with team on the text line or hit us up on the talkback mic. It's the microphone next to the play button right there on the iHeartRadio app. More show next. Big Rich, TD, and Fletch, San Diego Sports 760, Bar Car Friday today. Tony from Keg and Bottle, he is inbound. He's collecting his goods and wares, and he's going to be coming in. We're going to be mixing up some golf drinks in the final hour of the show. That's how we're going to usher in the weekend. So if you're going golfing, we're going to have some new drinks for you to try. So Fletch created a drink earlier in the week.
Fletch's surprise.
I'm not going to spill it, but he calls it Fletch's surprise.
And you're going to drink it.
I am going to drink it, and I guarantee you I'm going to enjoy it because I know I've had something like it before, Fletch, okay? Now, I can promise everybody nobody's had the drink I'm going to make.
Where'd you find it? Because you clued me in on kind of what's going on with it, and it doesn't sound good.
I found a article that was talking about this certain mixer or drink that you could use as a base of a cocktail. And I was like, oh, that makes perfect sense, especially since you're out in the sun and you may get all sweaty. Like maybe this could be like a useful drink for people who are, maybe not just playing golf, but maybe you have a beach day coming up, or maybe you got some yard work and you want to tip a couple back towards the end of your time in the yard, whatever it may be. Like, sitting on the porch out front and it's a sweaty day. Like maybe this is the drink for you, or maybe it sucks and we all throw up. See, that's the risk I like to take on Bar Car Friday.
What was the last one you made that was in that giant like tumbler type thing that had the spigot on it?
Oh, that was so bad.
It was awful.
It was the strawberry beer garita.
Terrible.
It was one of the worst things I've ever tasted. We took great tequila and we ruined it.
It was like a $150 bottle that you ruined.
No. I didn't use one. I didn't use that one. But I did use good tequila, and I still ruined it. I mean, it doesn't matter if you spend $40 or you spend $140. If you're ruining tequila, you're ruining tequila, and I ruined it.
Please don't ruin your drink today.
It's dude, when I tell you this is a 50-50 chance at best, and I'm leaning on the side of it's going to suck.
Richie, this Bar Car Friday will begin my vacation.
Okay. Oh, God.
Don't F it up.
Okay, no, I promise
This
you.
is like, we're either going to exit the trade deadline, which I'm coming up on the All-Star break right now. So we're going to be entering into my phase of life where it's like, okay, I'm getting ready for the home stretch, baby. Football season coming up. I'm ready to work.
So, okay.
If you ruin my vacation before it even starts, I'm going to kill you.
So I'm not. Oh, this is what we'll do. I'll be the meat of the sandwich. Okay. I want you to lead us off because I know your drink is going to be good. Okay. I know your drink's going to be good. And I know if my drink stinks, we can actually wash off our palate with your drink. So we could just continue on with the Fletch's surprise. My drink will, okay, so we'll do yours maybe back half of our first segment back, then maybe I'll do the middle drink, and then Tony usually is the ringer. Tony, we have no idea what he's going to make on Bar Car Friday, but if I haven't missed my guess, and I don't think he's missed once, every drink he's ever made in this studio has been good, so he'll play anchor here. Okay. Wanted to talk about this before we get back to Dylan Cease. And by the way, we see the messages coming in on the text line. Keep them coming. 70470. Did Dylan Cease's no-hitter change how you feel about this Padres season? Are you feeling now the Padres are 5 games over 500? Now the Padres are going to win this. They've already won this road trip. Look, they're 5-1 on this road trip so far. That's a winning road trip. On the front edge of this road trip, we were saying just have a winning road trip.
If it was 5-4, we'd all been stoked.
We would have been stoked. We would have signed up for it. This is a winning road trip already. So the Padres, mission accomplished as far as I'm concerned. I hope they don't get swept by the Orioles. I hope they aren't 5-4 coming home. That would suck a lot, especially after how exciting the past 2 series were, especially how exciting yesterday was. But I digress to say, this is exactly what we were hoping for with the Padres. So has it changed how you feel about the season? Are you more hopeful now after seeing a no-hitter, watching the Padres have this recent success? I know it has for me. I'm really excited to hear from everybody else. Fletch, you're more measured than I am. You're not getting too far over your skis, which I appreciate.
I've been hurt before.
Because, yeah, you are damaged goods.
I don't know what the rest of the season is going to look like. I do think that this moment can have a ripple effect, and it's all about the Padres, and I'm not going to say it, seizing the moment that this was, and the positive momentum that this can create. I said seize, not cease. This could create positive momentum for them moving forward. This could be a moment that you look back on in the season and be like, oh my God, Dylan Cease walking into the dugout in the 7th inning and telling Mike Schilt to F off really was a point in this season that it turned around and something special is happening late. I could see that happening. I could also see more realistically what the Padres have done all season long and understand that, okay, this has been really good and we might be at the peak of the really good right now. This might be a rough couple of weeks.
Yeah.
I don't want to think that way. I really don't, Rich. It's just what the Padres have told me how to think by their play so far this season.
I get it. We want to hear from you. So leave us a message on the Talkback mic on the free iHeartRadio free iHeartRadio app. It's the microphone button next to the play button. If you want to tell us how you're feeling about the prospects of the season after the Dylan Cease no-hitter. Also, hit us up on the text line 70470. Start your message with team. Really excited to hear from everybody out there. Really excited to see Tony Kanja. He's going to be walking through the doors here in just moments. Before we run, though, I do want to talk about Matt Eberflus, he's the head coach of the Chicago Bears. And normally you don't see headlines like this. But good Lord, on ESPN, there is an article that was written by an ESPN writer named Kalen Kaler about how he's got a new look and a new groove and may have gotten some sports media training in the meantime, which not an unintelligent thing to do, but he got a haircut and he got himself dolled up a little bit because he felt like his appearance may have been holding back the Chicago Bears.
To be fair,
go ahead.
We did poke fun at his appearance quite a bit last year. We talked about how he's the most boring looking head coach maybe in the history of the NFL.
Okay.
I've seen his new look.
Yeah, they did the side by side. Okay, so he
looks good.
He's answering questions. So he grew out his beard, well manicured beard, cut his hair. He had this long slick back hair, kind of think Pat Riley in the 90s, right? Maybe even still. I haven't seen a recent shot of Pat Riley, but graying on the sides, all that. So,
what does this have to do with anything?
So here's the thing. We have become, as a culture, so obsessed with looks that I feel like at times we forget that the most accomplished football coach in the history of the game wore a hoodie with cut off sleeves and jorts for basically not really jorts. They were whatever the sweatpants equivalent of jorts is. Capris, I guess we'll call it sweatpants, cut off capris. I mean,
joggers.
That's what Bill Belichick wore on his way to whipping ass for 20 years in the NFL. And we have a headline on ESPN with training camps open everywhere talking about Matt Eberflus's new do.
Who's the best coach in the NFL right now as we speak?
Andy Reid.
How does Andy Reid look?
Like a walrus.
Thank you.
Like a walrus in a damn track jacket.
You know what Andy Reid looks like? And I promise I mean no offense to people from my hometown, but he looks like a dad who owns a ranch in Merced, California.
Yeah, dude. He looks like a guy who's a cheeseburger away from a cardiologist appointment where they go, it's not looking good, Andy. It's not looking good.
And then he responds to that by saying, I don't care.
No, yeah, he does. He look, and this is no offense to Andy Reid. I think he actually has a good look too. In fact, I think that people will come to the party if you have success. You can't. Maybe this is the influence of Caleb
Stars
Williams.
are born, they're not made.
Maybe it's the influence of Caleb Williams. Like, you know, he's got this, he's all dolled up. He's got the nails painted. He cares about his looks. He cares about his style. Maybe this is Caleb Williams' influence on Matt Eberflus.
I forgot about the Caleb Williams stuff.
Maybe that's it.
That's going to be a storyline soon here.
Yeah. Oh, dude,
People will start biting into that.
That's coming back. If he struggles, that's coming back in a big way. Oh, it's coming back. Which, again, I don't have time for it. Just be great. I don't care how you dress. I don't care what color your hair is. Yeah, dude, what is going on? Anyways, Tony Kanja, Keg and Bottle, 10 locations around San Diego. He's going to be joining us coming up next on a Bar Car Friday. We start making our golf drinks next.
Hour number 3, Big Rich, TD, and Fletch, and it's a Friday. Put those two things together. What do you get? It's a Bar Cart Friday, and it officially starts right now. This update is presented by the Del Mar Racetrack.
Abrams to right field. Johnson coming in. He makes the catch. No hits for the Nats. Dylan Cease throws a no-hitter. The second no-hitter in Padres history. There'll be a sea of San Diegans celebrating back home today.
And there was indeed Don Orsillo. Dylan Cease throwing the second no-hitter in franchise history 4 years after Joe Musgrove, the San Diego kid, threw one for the Pods. They win 3-0, sweeping the Nationals out in our nation's capital. At Del Mar, every Thursday is free and easy. Get free admission, a free program, and a free seat, and big discounts like 40% off on Michelob Ultra and Brandt Beef hot dogs. Just sign up to become a Del Mar Diamond Club member, and yes, that's free too.
Thank God it's Friday! It's been a long week and the fellas are thirsty.
Scotch. Here it goes down into my belly.
It's time to cruise into the weekend. Big Rich, TD, and Fletch present Bar Card Friday. Brought to you by Keg and Bottle, with the best selection of bourbon, whiskey, tequila, private section bottles, and more.
My problem is I drink too much, way too much.
Yeah.
I get my doctor a urine specimen. There was an olive in it.
Now, let's pour some drinks.
Oh, you damn right we will. It's a Bar Cart Friday brought to you by Keg and Bottle. 10 locations around San Diego. Tony Kanja joining myself, Big Rich here, and my buddy here, Fletch. Our third voice, TD. He's still in NYC, Tony.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, he's been sending us pictures and
FaceTime from the game when we were golfing.
we had the face. So
I completely forgot about that.
Yeah.
we were so drunk when we FaceTimed Travis. He and his wife, his lovely wife, Sarah, they were at the Subway Series the Yankees and Mets played. Mets visiting the Bronx. And since TD and Sarah were, touring Manhattan, the Bronx only just a little bit north of Manhattan, the borough just north of Manhattan. So they skipped over to Yankee Stadium. They were taking in the game and they were having a good time. TD was shouting at Juan Soto. He was asking him if he had heard from AJ Preller yet as the trade deadline is approaching. And Juan Soto did not humor him with an answer. He also was taking in the sights. He was talking about how they went on a small tour of Yankee Stadium before the game got underway and they were trying to check it out. But then we FaceTimed him, and I'm fairly certain we were so loud we were actually interrupting the people seated around TD at Yankee Stadium. That's how raucous we were on a golf course, mind you.
Yeah, but that was on the back nine, so we had an excuse. We were already wasted.
Very much so. Very much so. Tony
Thanks to Tony.
showed up to the Long Ball Invitational like you knew he would, with a cooler positively stocked. He had Modelo's for us. He had some margarita, spicy margarita left over from another Bar Cart Friday. What else did you? Oh, you had some energy drinks in the cooler.
Energy drinks get you guys going. we had it all. We
Yeah.
had some shots. It was all good.
When we were golfing, who were you most impressed by? Fletch coming off his injury. He slipped on an acorn. He broke his leg. He's had a recent surgery. He's all the way back recovered now. Or was it my golf game? The former athlete, now out of shape, but trying to fight his way back into, doing something even I would say golf is kind of sports adjacent. I mean, it is a sport. Don't get me wrong, but you don't have to be an athlete to play it. You don't have to be an athlete.
To be a pro golfer, you do.
No, get the hell out of here.
Right, but when you play with a pro like this gentleman to my right, as I've played with a few other pros, it's just impressive how to see them connect when they connect.
Right.
So
Right.
the story I tell about Rich golfing all the time came true at this golf tournament, because there are times when Rich swings out of his ass and misses the ball completely.
That's right.
But then he'll tee it back up and hit one 400 yards down the middle of the fairway. That exact thing happened on the back nine.
It was insane. It was insane to watch.
That was a dogleg left, and like where it turned was 200 yards. And when that ball left the course, it was still on an upward trajectory. But you're absolutely right. The swing I took right before that golf shot, I completely missed the ball. I almost fell down. It's really difficult. Golf's a tough
Well,
sport.
I need to paint a picture for everyone else. There's
Yeah.
like 5 or 6 other foursomes gathering around this man because they just wanted to hang out with him. And then as soon as he hit that shot, they all fell on their knees and they were just like paying
please.
homage.
No, you
Oh,
stop
yeah, they
it.
were.
No, that
That was super cool to watch.
thank you very
And
much.
then he just, smiled, did his
Oh,
thing. He said, no big deal.
Well, I do my wave like Queen Elizabeth. You say like, I kind of twist my wrist. I'm like, thank you.
Thank you very much.
I get back into like Elvis used to. The proletariat wants to see their king. I get it. Like it's weird, but it feels good at the
More
same
often,
time.
Rich and I would hit and then say, Tony, save us.
Yeah.
We're both out of bounds.
Dude, it was unbelievable. Tony had some clutch shots on the course, and that's not an easy course. Steel Canyon.
No.
There's
No,
some treachery.
That was my
out
home
there.
course for many years ago. I lived in Rancho San Diego, so I played
Oh,
there
yeah.
quite often.
Yeah.
But yeah, I get lucky once in a while.
He kept giving us tips. He was like, dude. He was like, the way you want to play this one. I'm like, Tony, slow down. I don't think you can tell me how to play any hole because wherever you tell me to put the golf ball, I can't control where it goes off my club.
Golf with Big Rich TD Fletch. Go outside, have fun, drink a lot.
Yeah, that's true.
Golf is the
But I
fourth.
do want to mention one of yours, Ben, on the 3rd hole.
Me?
Yes, sir.
What?
We were perched a little high, but this gentleman hit 300 and what?
60?
360. Remember that?
That
Yeah.
was Rich's math. I don't know how accurate it is.
I'm not great
Well,
with
It is the
numbers.
furthest I've ever hit.
It was a
drive.
par 5, and I mean, we just had to.
We were like 129 left in.
Yeah, it was insane. I'm
It
like,
was
This is easy. I could do this.
So from exactly, dude. I think my math was right. I think so. We were 489 from the hole. Fletch hit it within 130 yards. I mean, again, this is not a strong subject for me, but I'm fairly certain that means you hit 360. And yeah, it was an elevated tee box, and yeah, it was downhill. But Fletch coming back from the ankle surgery,
Better than ever.
I honestly think it improved. You need to slip on another Eggehorn. You need to break the other leg.
Now I'm going to come in there and start making my drink. No, I will not do that. It was like the worst day of my life, worst couple months of my life. Tone, did you see the no-hitter yesterday?
I did. I
God,
did.
was that cool.
And it was crazy because I was at work all day, where a place where we didn't have a TV, and then circumstances had it that I ended up at KMB,
Yeah.
and then I'm trying to have a conversation with a couple that's there, and they're like looking right past me. I'm like, what are these guys looking at?
Yeah, right.
And then I was able to catch the end of that, and it was amazing. And everybody in there cheering and going crazy. It was really cool to be part of.
I'm so glad that you had that experience. I was driving around. My oldest son had a appointment as Fletch is filling up some red Solo cups with some ice. We're going to be trying the Fletch's Surprise here on a Bar Car Friday, brought to you by Keg and Bottle. But I was driving my son around, so I was listening to the TV call on my phone as I'm driving around. And I mean, there were several times where I'm like, my son talks. I mean, he's 9 years. I mean, like, yeah, dude. I was like, hey, Ty. I'm like, buddy. Like, we can talk quantum physics in a second. Like, Dylan Cease is about to do something only one other Padre player has ever done in the history of the sport. I was like, Joe Musgrove threw a no-hitter a couple years back, and Dylan Cease, the new Padres pitcher, is about to do the same thing. And he goes, did you used to play for the Padres? I'm like, you know what? You're not a sports guy. That's what I love about you. That's what I love. So anyways, that was my where were you when moment. Fletch was on the radio at the time, No Better Place,
That's
talking
perfect.
about it as it's going on. So much fun.
How cool was it to watch Musgrove congratulate him?
Oh my God.
That moment was pretty special.
He's
for me.
got so much class.
Yeah.
Like Joe Musgrove is one of those players who not only do you root for him because he's great, but you root for him because he's from here and that feels good. But then you root for him because he's like one of the classiest guys and a great leader. And you know he wears his heart on his sleeve. He'll tell you the truth if he's happy or sad. He was completely thrilled for his teammate. And by the way, this isn't a teammate that he's been playing with for a long time. Dylan Cease blew in here on the first thing smoking out of Chicago right before they took off for South Korea. So, I mean, it's just an incredible story for the Padres and really an incredible story for AJ Preller because he has been talked about like potentially a guy who is on his way toward losing his job, and the roster he's assembled, you could argue they're overperforming. You can make that argument, but this is what you do when you're a general manager or president of baseball operations. You put together a team that can go out there and win and do special things.
And you don't pull them.
And you don't pull
He
him.
almost did,
Oh
man.
my God,
You
Mike
don't
Schill
pull
came
him.
close.
God, I would have
Ooh.
puked. Now
Ooh.
you're gonna want to give this the old pinky stir.
Okay.
So this is the Fletch surprise, and I made about 15, 20 of these last weekend and drank all of them.
Okay,
My brother
so-
and I went through a whole bottle of Tito's.
Let me ask you if I caught this correctly. So I watched you pour vodka
Mm-hmm.
into a red Solo cup. You did not measure any
Never
of the
measured.
pours. Okay, that's fine. And then I watched you pour a little orange juice, and then you added guava nectar, and then topped it with Sprite in a red Solo cup filled with ice. Is that all the ingredients in here?
You nailed it. Probably
Okay.
could use a shake. Probably definitely needs a stir, but never measure any ingredients. That's the one thing you have to do. And just enjoy it. This is the sitting by the pool. I was actually in the pool when I was drinking this all weekend, and it got me hammered.
So this is the Fletch surprise.
You're welcome.
All right, down the hatch. Let's try it, boys. Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Good morning.
Good morning. This is super refreshing.
Wow.
We could have used a couple of these on the golf course.
I was actually thinking about making a Yeti of them for the golf course, but I figured Tony would take care of us.
Yeah. I would have appreciated one of these. Let me tell you. Next time we go, a Yeti it is.
I am so happy you made this. I am so happy you made this. So I was, truth be told, earlier in the week, I've been teasing Fletch about how he told us on the afternoon show we do on 101.5 KGB from 3 to 7. It's also called Big Rich, TD, and Fletch on the Classic Rock Station here in San Diego. I was teasing him because I'm like, you just made a screwdriver.
Nuh-uh.
I was like, it's orange juice and vodka. You just added a couple other things, and you're calling it the Fletch surprise. This is a screwdriver. It's not a screwdriver.
No, this is a mix between a Mai Tai and a screwdriver.
This is delicious.
Thank you.
Dude. This is, okay. So this kind of feels like, you remember when Gary Sanchez was on the Padres?
Codename Scorpio.
Codename Scorpio. Gary Sanchez, look, was he the best Padre player ever? The answer is absolutely not. He really, really wasn't. But when Scorpio got to the plate and on those, twisted swings would just yank one and put it out of the park.
He yanked it so hard.
He yanked it so hard. Thank you, Fletch. He really impressed us and he surprised us. And you're kind of like Gary Sanchez.
I've been told that a lot, actually.
You just blow in here, and you'll get some things wrong. But when you're right, you are really, really right.
Now, this is zero offense to the vodka that I'm using. It is much better with higher quality vodka. But this is back of the freezer vodka that I forgot that my brother and I actually finished the bottle of Tito's that we had.
Well,
so this is what I brought in.
So listen, I mean, at Keg and Bottle, you can find some of the most expensive bottles of liquor. There's no question about it. As a matter of fact, on keggandbottle.com, a 40-year-old Macallan was sold while we were on the golf course.
How crazy was that?
Tony was hammering out the details of something to the tune of a $20,000 bottle.
Yeah, we're all built different here. Like I talk about Rich, like D1 athletes are just built differently by the gods, and they can do things that we can't do. Rich, you and I were like hammered.
Yeah.
So was Tony.
Yeah.
And he was operating some like massive business deals while this was happening.
That's what happens on the golf course, baby.
Dude, Tony Kanja wears
never without the AirPod.
He has an AirPod in his ear the entire golf round. And he goes from making fun of friends on the phone who are calling him to hammering out, something like $20,000 bottle of alcohol deals to setting up dentist appointments. Like,
that's right. I got drilled, man.
You certainly did. Your phone rings more than any human being's phone I've ever met in my life. You are a busy, busy man. But he was able to play the best golf among us. So what does that say about us, Fletch?
We suck.
Yeah, that's exactly correct.
And for the record, I suck too.
No, dude. You had a good round. That I can attest to. From the 858 on the text line, I hope this is a turning point in the season. But realistically, the Padres are probably going to be no hit by the Baltimore Orioles. Okay, so that is a lap. So 858, wherever you are, you need to take a lap around your house, your office. That is a Travis Dale special right there. But what I will say is, if we're going to be realistic, feet on the ground, trying not to get, too hyper inflated off of what we just all witnessed with Dylan Cease in the no-hitter, the second ever in franchise history. Yeah, you're probably right. Although I don't think they're going to be no hit by the Orioles. I mean, how many no-hitters have there ever been in baseball? 380 something?
I think it was 324. This was the second one this season.
Think about the history of baseball. There's 150 years plus, and there's only been 300 something of these. That's absolutely absurd. And Dylan Cease is one of them. And he happens to be on the same roster at the same time as another guy who just had a no-hitter 3 years with Joe Musgrove. But I digress. Getting back to the conversation at hand, do you believe that this is a turning point moment? Do you believe, or what did Dylan Cease's no-hitter do to your prospects, or what your perspective is for the rest of the season? I said it earlier, and I'm not a big guy who believes in the mystical and all the magic and all that stuff, but something stirred inside of me that has felt different than at any point this season with the Padres. It feels like this may be one of those teams of destiny seasons. I don't know. I said it before. I was talking about it earlier in the week. I had an offensive line coach who said, I could see the light at the end of the tunnel. I just hope it isn't a train.
So we've had a few moments this year, and that's now my new favorite line. In fact, throw it on my tombstone when I die. But there's been a few moments this year. ...
It was a train.
It was a train, and I am dead. There's been a few moments this year, Rich. I can think of one when we were at the Whiskey Girl. The Chicago Cubs opened up in like 9-0, 8-0 lead on the Padres. They fought all the way back and won that game. I can think of another one. The Oakland A's, 2 games in a row, they hit walk-offs against them, and the Oakland A's kind of suck. And it needed that to do it, but this team fights back, and they come back in situations that last year's team never would have. How about early in this road trip, this 9-game road trip, they get their asses beat in the opening night of it, lose 7-0 to the Guardians, bounce back and win 2 in a row against them. When I texted you and TD the night that they lost 7-0, I said Padres are toast.
Yeah.
I thought that opening up that series that way meant some bad news for this team, and they bounce back, in a big way, take 2 out of 3 from the best team in Major League Baseball at the time in the Cleveland Guardians, and they sweep the Washington Nationals and cap that off with a no-hitter. Like, there's been moments this season that could lead you to believe those tingles you're feeling are real.
Yeah, the tingles. Yeah, hopefully they are, man. It's been very, very exciting.
And you weren't just seeing the cart girls.
Well, that's true too. Yeah, which there were many on the course. I don't remember what a single one looks like because they just kept handing me drinks, which was fantastic. All right, if you want to feel the tingles also, we have Luke Bryan tickets coming up in just a little bit.
For me,
dang right. He's going to be playing Chula Vista August 8th. So if you want a pair of tickets to see that show, this is your last opportunity this week to do so. So hang in there. We'll tell you how to win those in just a moment. But first, that's right.
Abrams to right field. Johnson coming in. He makes the catch. No hits for the Nats. Dylan Cease throws a no-hitter. The second no-hitter in Padres history. There'll be a sea of San Diegans celebrating back home today.
You asked for it, and you shall receive it. It's Fletch's final update of the day. Fletch, what do you got for us?
Let's go with this. It's my second to final update of the day. And there will not be any bad puns. I promise you, I'm not Travis Dale. If you were tuning in at 8:15 for him, get lost. Russell Wilson has a calf issue in Pittsburgh. Justin Fields getting some first-team reps. Falcons' new quarterback, Kirk Cousins, he's been medically cleared to begin practicing after that Achilles injury last year in Minnesota. Rams and Vikings, this really does suck. Both have young cornerbacks who they were hoping would make an impact on the team this year, who have potential season-ending ACL tears to open up training camp. 49ers, multiple holdouts going on. Wide receiver Brandon Ayuk, all-pro left tackle Trent Williams, both looking for a new deal. Both are presumed to be able to be done by the start of the season. And your boy, Bill Barnwell, ESPN, is stirring up drama all over the place, talking about Brock Purdy's contract, saying he's going to get north of $55 a year.
Dude, of course he will. Of course he will. Okay, that's a great jumping off point. And by the way, it's a Bar Cart Friday brought to you by Keg and Bottle. 10 locations around San Diego. Tony Kanja standing by with his offering, or I should say his first of a few offerings here on a Bar Cart Friday.
Got a few.
Yeah, he's going to play anchor on the show also. So we're going to tipple something here, then I'm going to make our drink next. And if it sucks, we're desperately going to need him to back clean up here. And so the final drink of the hour will be a Tony Kanja special. Whatever's in the cooler, we don't know, but he'll pull something out and save the day.
So Bill Barnwell is saying 5 years, $325.
Yeah, so here's the deal. Like, this is the price of real estate in this neighborhood. I'm sorry if it seems astronomical and almost comical that people are getting paid that much to play a kids game. I get it. And I agree to a certain extent, but it is one of the most entertaining products we have in this country. There's no doubt about it. People are obsessed with football. There's no question about that. It is inarguably the best sport to bet on in terms of entertainment value. People love to spend their money gambling on sports, especially football. And so, yeah, if you're playing the top position in the top sport in the country, you're going to get paid like this. So,
excuse me, I misspoke. Not 55 a year, north of 60 per year for Brock Purdy.
Where this is going. Somebody said, hey, by the end of the 2020s, will we see our first $60 million quarterback?
And it's going to be Brock Purdy.
And I was like, of course we will. Chances are before the 2020s are over, we'll see our first $100 million per year football player. And it's going to be a quarterback. That's just the way this sport is going. That's the way all sports are going. So
look, we all know how I feel about Brock Purdy. I love him to death. He's very muscular. He's gotten very handsome over this offseason.
He encouraged me.
He ain't worth $60 million.
Hang on, Tony. He encouraged me earlier this week. He encouraged Fletch over here, the 49ers honk, encouraged me to type these words into Google. He was like, no, dude, type in Brock Purdy muscle. And I'm like, why am I doing this to my search algorithm? He's like,
that's
no,
the first thing that pops up on Google when you type in his name.
No, that is not true. That is
on yours because it remembers your search history.
It's a saved search.
No,
that's why he didn't want to do it. Now he's going to see a bunch of dudes every time he goes on.
Exactly. He was like, no, but did you see his calves? I'm like, I don't want to
look at quads, and you know it.
What's wrong with you?
There's so much. We only have 40 minutes. We don't have enough time for you to ask that question, Tony. But what I will say is this. He does deserve it. He does deserve it. This sounds crazy to say this because I understand that's an obscene amount of money and it seems ridiculous saying this out loud. But he plays for one of the best franchises in football right now. He plays inarguably the most important position in football right now. And he's had an unbelievable amount of success considering where he came from. He was the last pick of the draft 3 years ago. This guy has skyrocketed to the top of the zeitgeist. People know who he is. And it's not because they wanted to. It's not like anybody was really doing the deep dive on the Cyclones starting quarterback, Brock Purdy. It's because he forced you to pay attention to him because of his success, his first year as a rookie, where he took his team all the way to the NFC Championship game and lost to the Philadelphia Eagles. And frankly, it's because his elbow exploded and it wasn't all his fault. It was because his head coach had a backup tight end trying to block Hassan Reddick, who just wrecked him. And then you have this game, this playoff run, which at times he was a little iffy, but found a way to win games all the way to the Super Bowl. And they ran into the monster that was Chris Jones and the Chiefs.
By the way, I just rewatched a bunch of those games, and I know this is where I get myself in trouble. But the fourth quarter comeback against the Packers, fourth quarter comeback of the Detroit Lions, he was incredible in those comebacks.
He can't help himself.
Tom Brady has a fourth quarter comeback in the postseason. He's the freaking GOAT. Brock Purdy, everyone only talks about the first three quarters.
But how did they get there?
He played poorly in the first half.
There you have it.
But I'm just saying, Tom Brady has fourth quarter comebacks in the postseason. That's
I need to ask you guys. So because I don't know this number. So what was 3 years ago? What was an average or a highly paid quarterback?
38.
40 million.
3 years ago, how much did it cost for when you went out to lunch?
Yeah, it's a great
$25 max.
No, not 3 years ago. That's today. I'm talking about like a regular. We're not going anywhere extravagant.
I'm a fancy boy. Sorry, Tony.
Yeah, but I'm just saying I feel like everything has doubled.
Yeah.
Right. You know what I mean? Like when you go out to dinner, you used to spend X amount of dollars. Now you spend 2X, sometimes 3X. And it's just okay now because that's what it is.
Yeah, the economy is different. That's a great point.
You know
That's the other thing.
What's the percentage difference? So you were saying 40, what'd you say it was? 35?
38, 40, somewhere in there.
Okay, so let's say 40 and now it's at 50. So it's an extra 10 mil, you know what I mean? On 40 grand. So what, 15%?
Yeah.
You know,
it's actually 55 is the top of the market right now.
So I'm saying that's a discount. Because with inflation's at 30 to 50% right now. When you look at what it was 5 years ago, it's double to go out to lunch.
See, this is the reason why I was wearing the AirPod on the golf course the whole time.
Smart.
Because he's a businessman and he's smart. He's a lot smarter than us. He's looking at like the global or the nationwide issues that are affecting all of us Americans from an economical standpoint, while we're sitting here like, look, Brock, good throw.
Good equals 55 million.
Yeah, good equals 50 or 60 mil. And what's million? Many zeros. Like, look, I am a caveman. But what I know is what does work. And Brock Purdy works. Like, he is as talented of a quarterback as we've seen this young in his career in a very long time.
Yep.
He's really talented.
You guys are talking inflation. I'm talking deflation. And Richie, why don't you get out of here and go do your thing?
Sure.
Because I'm going to tell everybody how I deflated. And it was with the help of Wayne and Chloe at sdfatloss.com. The two of them took a look at our show. All it took was one look. And they said, we need to help you guys. You are all 40, 50 pounds overweight. And we could trim that number back significantly. So 2 months, if you can think about the next 2 months of your life and realize that you could drop 30 to 40 pounds in 2 months' time, now's the time to go over to sdfatloss.com. You're not going to do it with drugs. There's no injections. There's no prepackaged meals or lame smoothies you have to drink. It is just good old-fashioned dieting on a roadmap that Wayne and Chloe will teach you and guide you through every step of it. In 2 months' time, you can drop 35 or 40 pounds, depending on where you start at. That's what happened with all three of us. TD, over 35 pounds lost. Rich, over 35 pounds lost. I'm sitting at 45 pounds lost, and I feel fantastic, better than I have in a long, long time. It can be the same thing for you. We've had plenty of listeners, plenty of friends who have tried sdfatloss.com, and the success is all over the place. Everybody dropping a ton of weight with sdfatloss.com. Why not be the next person? Call right now or go over to sdfatloss.com. Set up the free consultation. You're going to get $200 off when you mention Big Rich, TD, and Fletch. Coming up next, Bar Cart Friday continues. Rich's drink is up. Pray for us all. This update is presented by the Del Mar Racetrack.
Abrams to right field. Johnson coming in. He makes the catch. No hits for the Nats. Dylan Cease throws a no-hitter. The second no-hitter in Padres history. There'll be a sea of San Diegans celebrating back home today.
Don Orsillo on the call. What a moment it was yesterday morning for the Padres, for all of San Diego, really, as Dylan Cease throws the second no-hitter in franchise history. Padres sweep the Nationals. That was a 3-0 win yesterday, and they're heading to Baltimore next. Adam Mazier going to be on the mound today for the Pods. NFL, Russell Wilson has a calf issue in Pittsburgh. Justin Fields going to be getting some first-team reps. Falcons' new quarterback, Kirk Cousins, has been medically cleared to practice after his Achilles blew up last year with Minnesota. The 49ers have multiple holdouts with star players, wide receiver Brandon Ayuk, left tackle Trent Williams, both looking for new deals. The Rams and Vikings both have young cornerbacks who have torn ACLs to begin training camp. And the Olympics opening ceremony coming up a little later today. Of course, iHeartRadio is your home for NBC's coverage of the 2024 Olympics out in Paris. At Del Mar, every Thursday is free and easy. Get free admission, a free program, and a free seat, and big discounts like 40% off Michelob Ultra and Brant Beef hot dogs. Just sign up to become a Del Mar Diamond Club member, and yes, that's free too.
Thank God it's Friday! It's been a long week and the fellas are thirsty.
Scotchy, Scotch. Here it goes down into my belly.
It's time to cruise into the weekend. Big Rich, TD, and Fletch present Bar Card Friday. Brought to you by Keg and Bottle, with the best selection of bourbon, whiskey, tequila, private section bottles, and more.
My problem is I drink too much, way too much.
Yeah.
I get my doctor a urine specimen. There was an olive in it.
Now, let's pour some drinks.
Yeah, big voice guy, thank you very much. It is Big Rich, TD, and Fletch on a Bar Cart Friday. And the one thing he didn't mention, there is 10 locations for Keg and Bottle all throughout San Diego, 1 in Santa Barbara, 2 in Chicago. And the man himself, Tony Kanja from Keg and Bottle, owner, operator, one of our best friends in the whole wide world, joining the program this morning, pouring up some drinks. Tony, the Fletch surprise, your thoughts on the drink I made.
Honestly, really good.
Would you serve this at KMB?
Why not? You know, for a little brunch action, I think that would work really good.
Now, I'm a big Red Solo Cup guy. I was born and raised in Merced, California.
Yes.
Went to college in San Luis Obispo. Red Solo Cups are all we drink out of.
So he had a choice to do glass and keep it classy, but I love how you went for the Red Solo Cup.
What would this actually go in if it was a drink?
You know, probably. You know what I'm thinking? Maybe even like a round, like big cup like that. You know what I mean?
Oh, a schooner.
Like a schooner.
That's a hell of an idea, Richie.
What did he? So I
I was
missed.
asking, what do we put this drink in?
Put
His-
Fletch's surprise
in a
into
big
a schooner.
Yeah, that's the right.
You know
That's
what I
the
mean?
right move.
That way
Yeah.
you can fill it with ice. There's enough room for the drink.
It's too. I don't want to say it's fancy. It's not fancy, but it's
No, but
too.
The color, I want the color to, like, you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
big.
Like it's not fancy, but I was gonna say, if you put it in a pint glass with ice, it doesn't do it justice.
Yeah.
You know what I
No.
mean? So I do agree. You need to have a glass that has a little character. Here we are on a Bar Car Friday, okay?
That's right, baby.
It's brought to you by Keg and Bottle, 10 locations around San Diego. Okay.
So what are we doing? We doing yours? We doing mine? What are you feeling like?
So we're
I
gonna
think we should do Rich's because it's going to be terrible.
we're gonna do mine.
Actually, I want to say the
Yeah.
product that he chose, I don't think you've disclosed anybody.
I haven't yet. I haven't said it yet.
But I'll say that the ingredient, the main ingredient in his drink is one of the hardest ingredients to get in the last since COVID.
I remember we had to buy that for the very first Bar Car Friday, if I remember
Not the
correctly.
first one, but one of the early ones, because we did. So I'll disclose what this is. This is green chartreuse.
That is correct.
So chartreuse comes in a couple different colors, yellow, green. It's made. Listen to this description. So what Tony says is absolutely true. Chartreuse. This is the back of the bottle. Chartreuse is made by only Carthusian monks of La Grande Chartreuse near Grenoble, France. Chartreuse today is still made from 130 alpine herbs, according to an ancient 1605 formula. It's a secret method, and it's only known by a pair of brothers, and it's protected by vows of silence. The Carthusian brothers, I should say. And it's protected by that vow of silence. So very difficult liqueur to come up with. It is 55% by volume alcohol. It is
And-
strong.
$100 a bottle.
So this isn't
Is that
cheap.
what we paid?
Yeah,
Probably.
well,
Is that what you paid?
that's what I paid.
So I'm saying it's no joke if you can find it.
Yeah.
And so because you can't find it, the price has gone up. You'll probably find it in random places as high as $150 a bottle.
So I got this from Keg and Bottle over a year ago, and like you said, it's not cheap, but it is delicious.
Why did we set it on fire if it's so expensive?
Well, so it's look. I believe it was Pamela Wisnitzer. She joined us to make a drink for our Hanukkah celebration, and like the flames of the menorah, we set chartreuse on fire that day.
That's right.
So, and we did it in an inside out lime. It was a really fun day, by the way. She came in studio with us, or maybe we were Zooming with her. I forget how but I remember seeing her face when we lit it on fire and she saw ours, and it looked like we were going to need to call the fire department. Anyways, we're going to mix chartreuse with a certain beverage that I'm going to bring in studio right now. I don't have it with me. I'm going to go to the kitchen. I'm going to bring it in, and then you guys are going to be.
I'll go grab it.
Yeah, you want
Is
it?
it what it's?
It's in a Target bag in the refrigerator closest to the vending machine. Okay, so Fletch is going to go get that for me. Very thankful that he's doing it. This I heard is not only refreshing, Tony, but it can serve to replenish what you may lose while you're on the golf course. It
makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, it makes sense. I know the ingredients, so yeah, I like it. I like it. So I will say to everyone out there, it's not going to be your typical one.
No.
But if you're bougie and you're a golfer, which many golfers are bougie.
Oh, dude, yeah.
And so you throw this in your cooler.
I actually didn't know, by the way, that chartreuse was that expensive now, and I didn't realize that there was any limitations.
So they're limiting us to about 3 bottles a week.
Oh, no kidding.
This stuff. So
altogether, like all your stores?
No, per location if you can get it when they have it in stock.
Right.
So quite often they don't have it in stock because it's literally made by monks. So when the monks don't have it and they're not making it, then it's just not available. So then, and it's a national shortage. The reason I know that is our kegandbottle.com site just kills it.
Yeah.
With selling this stuff, because as soon as we get it, we'll throw it on and it just disappears.
Okay. So here we go. I'm going to go step over to our bar.
Sides.
And yeah, you hop on the mic over here. And Fletch, without further ado, I'm going to unveil what's called the side snap. I am mixing blue Gatorade Glacier Freeze with chartreuse. Here we go.
This feels wrong. Like, it doesn't feel like he should be mixing really, really nice with really, really cheap.
Right?
Maybe it's the elitist in me, Rich, but this feels wrong.
I think he took a chapter out of my son's drink where he just did Gatorade and vodka.
Oh, yeah.
But
See,
that was a college drink, not so bougie like this drink.
This is like if Borg put on a fedora.
Yeah. We should do another Borg day. That was fun.
The Blackout Ridge going.
When school gets back in session.
Throw the cans on, Richie.
Oh, yeah. Hang on. Let me borrow your headphones. Oh, actually, no.
Yeah, take these.
I'll do these.
You're good?
I'll just plug you in over here. So, yeah. Look, I am not planning for this drink to taste good. For the record, I want to make this very clear. I don't know what this is going to taste like, but I do know this. In theory, if it works, if it tastes good, it should be one of the more refreshing drinks you can drink while you're out there, like Steel Canyon.
Attaboy, no measuring.
Yeah. It's just it's basically 4-1. Oh my God. I can't believe I'm doing this. Especially knowing what this is worth now. This is absolutely ridiculous.
Is this going to be iced down
Say
at all?
when.
Think so?
Say when.
Oh Jesus. Okay, here we go. So I just dumped a whole bunch of chartreuse.
I would say about $50 worth.
That was probably about $50 worth of chartreuse. Okay, I'm going to add a little bit more. We're going to bump that up to $60 worth of chartreuse. There we go. There's plenty of ice. It's in. And by the way, I'm not even using a regular cocktail shaker. I'm using a protein shaker.
You know what? That's brilliant.
Is there leftover pre-workout in there?
It might be.
Because that'd be fun.
You guys might get a little no explode or C4. Okay, there you go. That's enough shaking. Oh my God. Okay, this could really be bad, gang. I'm gonna put. Should I put? No. I'm gonna save the fancy glasses.
Go glass. I have plenty of glass. Go glass. This is fancy.
You think so? Okay,
Yeah.
Go glass. Hang on.
Go glass.
Tony, it's blue Gatorade. It's not
Chart-
fancy.
It's chartreuse. my
Like, at
friend.
least I own what mine is. It belongs in a red Solo cup because it's kind of a trashy drink. Total, like all the ingredients together cost me like $17.
And we have enough to do like 6 more.
Right.
This is crazy. Okay, so here we go. I'm pouring. Actually, the color's not bad,
Kind of looks like the Greek Ocean.
dude. Yeah, it's a little. It's a little bit like Mediterranean. Oh my gosh.
That.
I mean, it does look like seawater, so there's that. But okay. And by the way, it is pungent.
Oh yeah, it stinks.
Yeah, that,
Like in a good way, I think.
it's like spicy.
What does chartreuse taste like? I can't even remember.
It's like almost like medicine, almost like very medicinal.
Medicinal for sure.
Yeah, like it. I don't know how to describe it other than that. But yeah, so listen, boys, this is the Side Snap little Gatorade Glacier Freeze, little chartreuse down the hatch. Wow,
Honestly, I'd drink it.
that's not bad.
That's not
That's
bad at
not
all.
bad.
All right, Tony, you got 2 more cocktails to put on KMB.
Yeah, right? Except this would be an expensive one.
Yeah, this one. You know what?
So
Yeah,
typically, guys, let me explain how chartreuse is used.
yeah. Let me.
Chartreuse is used where they just like they add a little, just a quarter ounce, just a dash.
Oh, it's not like a highlight of a
It's
drink?
not the highlight.
Is
of
it more like bitters?
a little bit, but I love how this is chartreuse forward. It's chartreuse in Gatorade.
Yeah, it truly.
You
is.
actually found this like on a website?
Oh, dude, yeah. So this guy, it was Bon Appetit magazine. Okay, I like had to like subscribe or something to even read the article, but I was like, I want to make something with Gatorade because I always think when I'm on a golf course, like I want to drink Gatorade, but then I'm like, oh, it's gonna get in the way of drinking all this delicious beer, and so I'm like, oh, I wonder if there's a way to combine the two of them. So I found this, and this guy who's a bartender at some fancy restaurant apparently uses like Gatorade or like Mountain Dew Code Red to make drinks. And this was one of the drinks called the Side Snap. So again, it is basically 4.5 ounces of Gatorade, blue Gatorade, any blue Gatorade. And it's 1.5 ounces of chartreuse. You mix that together in a shaker bottle, you pour it over
Wait,
ice.
that was the recipe?
That was it.
Now, you did like 3 ounces of Gatorade and 6 ounces of chartreuse.
Welcome to
Very good.
Thunderdome, Tony.
And Ben, you were the one influencing him, telling him, "Hey, don't measure, don't measure,
No,
Don't
measuring
measure here."
Yeah. Listen, I don't know if it's good, but I'm gonna drink the rest of it.
I'm drinking
No
the rest of
question
it too. It's delicious.
All right,
Let me
so
tell you.
listen, we got to run. But before we do, and speaking of running, I want to talk to you about my feet over at the Good Feet store. They got your feet covered, but not just your feet, your ankles, your knees, your hip, your back. If you're struggling with any lower body joint pain like I was after my NFL career, you got to get to the Good Feet store. They are game changers. They are life changers. I was a skeptic. I walked in there for my first opportunity to work with these great people. And I was like, this ain't going to work. Well, I can tell you after 2 years, I'm still wearing the arch supports and I don't have my back pain anymore. I wake up and I'm free of knee pain, and the hip pain that I was experiencing so bad that I had an MRI scheduled melted away within weeks of wearing the arch support. So if you're like me, if you're a lower body joint pain struggler, if you wake up in the morning and you can't do the things you want to do because you are hampered by knee, hip, back, ankle, or foot pain, go to the Good Feet store or check them out at goodfeet.com. Big Rich, TD, and Fletch, San Diego Sports 760. It is a Bar Car Friday brought to you by Keg and Bottle. 10 locations around San Diego. Tony Conja joining us on the microphone today. It's just me and Fletch. TD is out in New York. Actually,
This guy.
flying back. So
Is he?
he'll,
He's on his way back?
he'll be in town. He might actually be in town today.
Yeah, I'm shocked he's not here right now. I
I'm
would have put money on it that
Well,
he'd have been here
he's
this
texting.
morning.
He tried to throw his 2 cents in on Bar Cart today.
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
texting, and
Yes.
he had some. Boy, did he have some opinions, but we said no. We said absolutely not.
You said you should have been here.
Absolutely. That's what we said. So Tony Conja, like we mentioned, is going to play anchor. We had Fletch's surprise earlier, a vodka-based drink that was like a mixture between a Mai Tai and a screwdriver.
Surprise.
So good.
That's right.
I made the side snap, which is chartreuse and blue Gatorade.
Should have been way worse than it is.
It's really good though. I'll take it.
It's actually quite refreshing. But then Tony Conja, what do you got for us
So,
today?
so look, I golf with about 15 guys, and every week there's at least one foursome that goes out.
Yeah.
And typically we start the day off with a Bloody Mary, but then on the turn we always order Jack and Coke.
Okay.
So we're Bloody Mary starters, Jack and Coke on the turn, but there's always something refreshing all along the way.
Yeah.
Typically beers or any kind of RTD in a can, some cut waters. But lately we've been doing these twisted teas.
Oh, wow.
So
Yeah.
I brought you these twisted teas in a can. Super cool, super quick. Throw them in your golf cart, make it happen. But Jack and Coke is a good old school friendly one. And the bottle I brought
Yeah. What is that?
has miles on it. Let me tell you.
the label.
So the label is tore up,
Yeah.
right? Because it goes into, most golf carts have a little ice chest. And if not, like when we golfed last week,
Oh, you bring
throw
your own.
ice chest, right?
Yeah.
So cold. So we'll drink a shot of this, or we'll do the Jack and Cokes, right? So I've got 3 drinks for you. I want you to taste the Jack neat. We'll start with that first.
Okay, let's give that a sip.
And it's Gentleman's Jack, right?
It's Gentleman Jack.
This is
not
my
regular
father-in-law's
Jack.
favorite.
So I tell people all the time, the old school brands, Gentleman, Jack Daniels,
Yeah.
Wild Turkey, they get underrated because they're like, oh, this is cheap stuff. But honestly, these guys have been doing it for a very long time. One of the first pioneers in the industry, and they're really good at it.
Old
and-
reliable.
And old reliable, and their higher marks are basically the better barrels. So try that real quick. Then we'll do the
It's
Coke,
delicious.
and then we'll have you finish with a little, like you did on the golf course,
my
like 3
God.
or 4
Are we
times.
doing this right now?
Absolutely.
Hang
We
on.
got to make memorable moments. We've got
Oh
new
my-
people in the studio.
Okay. Well, if I must. Okay, here we go. All right. I guess we'll do a countdown.
We'll do a countdown, and I need the guests in the studio to count how long it takes them to drink this.
Okay, here. Go for
3,
it.
2, 1.
Okay.
That's right, baby.
That's the show.
Done. Look at that reaction. What do you think about that,
Who do we
folks?
thank today, Fletch?
Of course, Tony Conja. We thank him. Hey, by the way, Olympic opening ceremony is coming up in an hour and a half. Make sure you're watching if you're a proud American.
Woo!
Thank you, Kathy. Thank you to new friend. Sorry, I missed his name.
Oh, that's Adam.
Adam, thank you
Palomar
for being here,
Solar.
bro.
Palomar Solar.
And
All right.
love y'all.
Yeah, love y'all.
See you in a
too,
week.
baby.
Enjoy the weekend.
Enjoy
and,
your week off, kid.
Oh my gosh, yeah, Fletch. We'll see you. We'll see you very soon. Keep it right here. The Herd's next. San Diego Sports 760.